We are live. We are live. Hola. Okay, perfect. Again, as usual, I'm just figuring everything out because now I have new things to do. I can gift subs now. Cool. Never done that before in my life. And bits, whatever they are, wicked. Again, never done that before in my life. But anyway, we are here, of course, for the Spanish Grand Prix, the Sunday race, the main race. If you were here yesterday for the sprint race, you saw my excitement levels increase as the laps went on, and as we saw Acosta v Marquez. Hello, Scott, mate. I can do things now with bits. I don't know how to. I don't know if you heard me. No idea what any of it means. Oh, why don't I get rid of this? I've opened a menu that I can't close now as well, just to show how professional I am. Go on, Scott, give me your predictions. Ah, Sweet Erico. Who's Sweet Erico? Sweet Erico. Thanks. Thank you. I can't close this menu. Hello, Ben. Scott, you think Aprilia? Did you not watch yesterday, by the way? If you're guessing... Oh, I hit my mic. If you're guessing Aprilia, that's brave. 2 subs, Ben, I know. Moving up in the world, didn't we? I'm going to get someone else to join the chat as well. Hang on. Yeah, Ben, I was actually going to mention I did see Max in the 24 hours. I know. It was gutting. I think there was it 4 hours left and the drive shaft broke. But again, since Max moved to number 3, that's been kind of the usual story. I say go back to 33. Scott, I know you were DJing. I know that's very valid. Completely valid. Basically, the review of yesterday is we had Acosta and Alex Marquez at the end. I think they were covered by the line by 0.04 or something. It was the closest sprint race. And the Aprilias were nowhere. Chip up a yellow, Pav. The Aprilias were nowhere. We had Jorge Martin in the dirt for the 4th time in the weekend. You could argue he's racing concussed, which, if it's true, sweet Eurico. If it's true he is racing concussed, why is he racing? But that's a very controversial topic in MotoGP, apparently. And Bezzecchi, did Bezzecchi drop it as well? No, Bezzecchi didn't drop it, but he was just well down the order. I think he came 9th or 10th in the end. So the Aprilias are nowhere. I'm hoping, because I can be biased because it's my podcast, right? I'm hoping Pedro Acosta, to be honest. But we are away for the Spanish Grand Prix. 24 laps of the Spanish Grand Prix. I think it's warmer than yesterday as well. I think yesterday's air temperature was 18 degrees, 19 degrees. Oh, it's 20 degrees air temperature. There you go. Martin about to drop it for the 5th time. There is a high chance. Again, the way he's been doing it is a very high chance he will. Wouldn't surprise me if he does as well. Oh, they're talking to Rossi. Rossi's there in Montmello. That's interesting. He's loved there, isn't he? Actually, he is. I can't be sarcastic about that. He is loved there. But of course we have the same grid as yesterday, so we still have Pedro Acosta on pole. Glad he got pole as well on the KTM somehow, which is working this weekend. Whether that's due to the temperatures or whatever the reason why, well, it's working for him. The other one's not working. Well, Binder is down in 8th, it's his teammate. But we do have the front row of Acosta, Morbidelli and Alex Marquez. I was predicting that I think Acosta would lose the lead before turn 1 because of the run into turn 1 down the back main straight, sorry. But he kept it, so he shut me up, didn't he? He's probably thinking I should just get on the bike and show them how it's done. Ben, who's saying they should get on the bike, show how it's done? But yes, the run into turn 1, again, if Acosta can shut me up again and lead into turn 1, that would be quite funny. VR46, well, if we're being completely honest, Rossi's riding days were done in about 2019. He went on a couple of years too long, but no one could say, stop racing. It was Rossi. Eyes on Zarco. Zarco did well yesterday, actually. I think he finished 5th. So he started fifth, held fifth on the Honda. Now, if you can see, let me click it to get my mouse. Voila. No, I don't want to click Zarco's name, thank you very much. You spot the other Hondas, ready? You got Zarco here leading on the satellite Honda. Still one of the GOATs. He is the GOAT, really. Well, depending who you talk to. But he's the one who put the sport on the map, so. You got the satellite Honda here, then you got the factory Honda here. Mir, right, I joke that Mir drops it every weekend, which he does. Yesterday weren't his fault, so I will take that one back against him. However, I wouldn't surprise me if he dropped it again. If you have been here before as well, you do know you'll see this in the bottom corner. Sync with live video. I have to try and time it of what I'm watching on the stream, and as I've said many times before, and will continue to say it, this is a pain in my ass to get this synced with it, because it doesn't pause when I want it to pause, it doesn't play when I want it to play. So we're guessing you might see the dots move before I've said the lights have gone out. Just accept it. That's how we are now. We do this to show we're not the most professional of all professionals. But if anyone did miss it, we did have Alex Marquez did win the sprint race yesterday. He did pit Pedro Acosta just over the line. As I said, was the closest sprint race in sprint race history since it got introduced to MotoGP. But the pace towards the end, I think, what was it, 14 laps, 12 laps? Might have been 12 laps yesterday, was definitely more on Acosta's side. And if one more lap did happen in the sprint race yesterday, Acosta would have pipped him probably into turn one and won the sprint race. So all eyes would be on Pedro Acosta for how we can bring the tyres in. What KTM have to work on, KTM have to work on bringing their tyres in slower at the start of the race, so they have more to use at the end of the race, and that's been their Achilles heel. As Acosta also said this yesterday, he pushed maybe a bit too hard in the beginning. Do I expect Di Antonio to come up the order? Yes. Morbidelli again yesterday started second, but by turn 3 he was like 7th or 8th, so I would be amazed. I'm amazed he's even on the front row in the first place, respectfully. But I'll be amazed if he can maintain the spot up here and not drop down as he does normally. Quartararo, he'll do well to stay in the top 10. To be honest, I mean, if he stays on the bike, we know he'll be high as Yamaha, but if he stays in the top 10, that's an achievement for him at this track, because the bike is dreadful. Still painful to see Yamaha in that way, but it's going to stand out, I think, for a very long time. I do want Acosta to do it, though, I have to be honest. I do really want... Oh, question for everyone watching. So people may know if they follow the Spotify account, the podcast account, sorry, on Spotify. I currently do 2 kind of like pre-recorded ones. So I'll pre-record one and then get it out on Monday and the same on Thursday. But I'm thinking, because I kind of enjoy doing Twitch live like this, to do one weekly one on Spotify, make it a bit longer and put that out on like a Thursday, and then on like a Monday or Tuesday just go live on here and kind of do like a podcast, but like a live one. So then if I can get people in the chat and interacting while I'm doing it, record that, put it up on YouTube, rah, rah, rah. I think that's a good idea anyway. And Ben, I know you agree as well, because I spoke to you yesterday about it. Oh, they are bigging up Alex Marquez on the stream itself. They did it yesterday, he could do it today. He's created history here before. I don't know how to call his win here before creating history. I think that's a bit of a stretch, but... Am I helping my dad currently sign into Twitch? Yes, I am. Oh, we got the flashy intro scene. I do love how MotoGP now do this very Formula 1-like intro of all the riders and the flashy shows. It's just weird to see MotoGP like that. And I do hope... I do fear the direction of MotoGP with Liberty Media and the tracks they're taking them to. Oh, dreadful. Right, this whole Adelaide one instead of Phillip Island I think's a disgrace. Scott, what do you feel about that? The whole... You must know about the news that they're not going to go Phillip Island after this year and they're going to Adelaide or something like that. And they want to take him to the Miami street track, and it's just like, oh, God. I'm not a huge fan of what they've done to some things in Formula 1, and I really fear the direction they're going to go for MotoGP. But next year, the MotoGP with the 850cc engines, I think, looks more positive for racing itself. So we got the, what are they called? The 850cc engines with the Pirelli tyres, so the corner speed will be up. I think. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, the corner speed will be increased because the Pirelli tyres for the GP bikes next year are going to be, they'll be rapid in the corners. Slightly slower down the straight, but I mean, what's the difference between 220 and 210? Do you know what I mean? But I think some people are slightly concerned of the corner speed itself, especially at tracks like this because of the limited runoff. I said yesterday, corners to look at will be turn 2 as the riders are on the warm-up lap. Turn 2 and turn 5, the two left-handers. This one would be more of a quicker one because the problem with turn 2 is the lack of runoff. So if they drop it here, as many have done throughout the weekend, they hit the wall, the bike hits the wall and kind of pings back against the rider. And turn 5 is a one to watch purely because of you don't really use left properly. Yes, you go left to turn 2, but it's not a lot of load on the front tyre itself. If they have a cold tyre, they'll drop it here. The last time they really go left is down here in turn 10. So you've got all this run going right, and when you get to turn 5, the front left portion of the front tyre is cold anyway, hence why so many drop it at turn 5 itself, and that's going to be the corner to watch as usual at this track. I do like the sound of these bikes on the warm-up lap. Who do I think will lead into turn 1? Alex. I do think Alex Marquez will. Although he had a bit of a rough start yesterday. One, we watched Martin. What lap is Martin going to fall off? That's going to be one to watch as well, if he can actually stay on it now. If he does have 5 crashes after his first crash on Friday, which knocked his head a little bit, you do have to question the procedure of how they check concussions. You know, maybe that's above my pay grade. But, you know, it's quite obvious that he's had this weekend. I mean, if it just happens to he's had the dreadful weekend, that's a different conversation. But some people are kind of linking it to his little hit on his head on Friday. They're talking about wind right now, but it's only 7 km/h wind, so that's not going to affect the riders that much. However, wind can affect anything. Is this sync going to work? Am I going to have to try and refresh it while commentating? No idea. But we are lining up back on the grid. Acosta does. Acosta was quick on that warm-up lap, actually. I'm surprised he done it that fast, but he lined up first, actually, on the grid slot, which is rare for a poleman on Motogp to line up first more than everyone else on the warm-up lap. We are waiting for the red flag at the front and the green flag at the back. Brad Binder's had to go to the pit lane because his bike has offed itself, it seems. We do have the green flag at the back, so that's one less bike on the grid. Lovely green flag is waving. We are waiting for the lights to turn on. Lights are on. All revs up. Listen to the sound of the bikes. Revs are off, and Acosta's had a hell of a start. Acosta's come across the cover. Morbidelli and Alex Marquez going into turn 1. Alex Marquez already on the inside. They almost no grass that yesterday. All of them beg of that inside line. Bezzecchi's dropped down a few slots, but Acosta again does lead into turn 1. I knew this wasn't going to work. Marquez in turn 2. Martin is close to turn 1 and turn 2. Quattraro stood up, but Acosta leads while Marquez. Oh, there's that Ralph Fernandez down the inside of turn 3, and Alex Marquez with 3 wide, almost 3 wide, onto turn 3, out of turn 4. Acosta still leads Marquez, who's hanging it round the outside. That's an impressive stat to see. I'm trying to pause this at the same time, but Acosta leads Ralph Fernandez into second and going to turn 4. Marquez third. I think that's Jorge Martin in 4th. The names have dropped down on this. I'm trying to see what happens live. Zarco is still 5th. He's going to turn 5 here. Fernandez down the inside again, and Marquez, he got him back on the exit. That's going to be close. Martin also down the inside of Zarco. We've got the 2 VR46 boys, 5th and 6th. No contact, actually. I'm amazed by that. I'm amazed there's no contact on this lap. Normally, this is the priority point for that. Binder has entered the race. You can see his little dot here at the side. Oh, there's contact between Martin and Marquez going into turn 7. Dapper Marquez on the green. He'll get a track limit for that, but Martin hangs it just behind him, and that was close. Marquez probably shaking his head at that. Acosta has got a nice gap now to Ralph Fernandez and Alex Marquez, who is being bullied right now, but just held 3rd place. Just down the order, Auguris Day 13. Morbidelli's defended from Digi Antonio into turn 10. That's close to Nerossios. Martin's wide where he fell off yesterday at turn 10. Lost the place to Zarco, and now Morbidelli's has Martin down to P6. That's what happened to him. But now Zarco and Morbidelli are side by side at turn 12, making contact going wide. That's incredibly close between them. I'm going to time this, but I think I might have done it a bit too late. We're going to run with it anyway, as we're on board with Martin now going into the final corner, right behind Morbidelli. He's going to have to run to the straight line. This is too far behind. I've got to figure it out during the race, but we go back to finish lap 1. Acosta leads Ralph Fernandez, who leads Alex Marquez, Morbidelli, Zarco, and Martin. Zarco has now got Morbidelli back, and Bezzecchi remains in 8th. Bezzecchi actually started 12th, so he's up to 8th place after a poor start from him. Jack Miller's sideways on the break in there, as Martin down the inside of Morbidelli into turn 1. I wish this thing would hurry up so I can sync this better, but it's quite hard to do both at the same time. I need to dive down. Marquez has got both the R46 boys now. Quartararo's on the back of actually Bezzecchi in turn 3. He's behind Quartararo. Luca Marini's up 6 places on lap 1 as well. And Nagura up to 12th on lap 1. I'm going to breathe now and try and get this ridiculous sync thing to work. Honestly, it's so annoying. It really is. Does my head in. If I do reset time, where are they going? Where are they going? I don't know where they're going. Look how annoying this thing is. Oh, I'm refreshing it. Joe, sod it. Nothing's happening. I'm going to take it on. The touch between Marquez and Alex Marquez, and sorry, Martin turn 7. Martin down the inside. Arguably a bit late on Alex Marquez, but racing us a proper pass. Marquez has to deal with that. He kept the position, but now we got, I think that's Zarco on the back of Alex Marquez as we go into turn 9, coming out of turn 9 on the back straight into turn 10 now. This is so far ahead of me. I'm trying to time this. This is quite entertaining to try and balance at the same time. Zarco's going to go wide in turn 10. No, he's held it back to the apex actually. Fair play to him. But Martin again is wide at turn 10. That's 2 laps in a row he's done that. Something's happening with him in that corner, or something's happening with him this weekend, as we already established. Agura, I just bigged him up for going up to 12th. He's now dropped down to 13th. Pekka Bagnaia, or the less we speak about that, the better, as he is currently languishing in 15th place on the factory. The only factory to get again this weekend, as we know Mark is not racing. Where would he be in this factory if he is fully fit? I'll tell you where, it'll be with Pedro Acosta at the front. But Acosta's got a nice 7.5 tenth gap out front to Raul Fernandez, who is now under pressure from Alex Marquez down the main straight. This is 220 miles an hour side by side. Alex Marquez already gets the move done before the break zone. Fernandez might come back down the inside. Fernandez is coming back down the inside of Alex Marquez. That's perfect from Fernandez himself. Going into turn 2, Fernandez stays ahead of Alex Marquez. I might have timed him out with these dots. If I wish these dots get a little speed up, because the speed of these bikes, they're going quick anyway. Coming out of turn 3, Acosta still leads Fernandez, who's still ahead of Marquez. Perfect from Raul Fernandez to keep your position under braking. But Acosta leads into turn 4 now. Zarco getting Alex Marquez. Well, no, he's staying stick just behind him into turn 4. It's come to turn 5. We've got 3 riders: Fernandez, Marquez, Zarco. This is going to be close. One of them is going to have to make a move into turn 5. I imagine it'll be Zarco. It will be Zarco. Down the inside, he shoved Marquez wide. That's the second time Marquez has been bumped this race already. And now Martin coming on the exit. That was close to Marquez's front wheel, but Alex Marquez has dropped down 2 positions. Zarco bumped him wide. That was a bit rough, I can't lie, from Zarco. Martin took advantage, but Alex Marquez must be spitting blood in that helmet right now. I'd be fuming if I was him. As we're into turn 9 now, Zarco's now going to be under pressure from Martin, who hasn't been able to stop the bike into turn 10. Let's see. Alex is getting finessed. He is getting finessed. He's got to get his elbows out, so like the others have done. Martin down the inside of Zarco at turn 10. Did that as intentional, or was that because he can't stop the thing in turn 10? It's because he can't stop it at turn 10. He's run wide. Zarco's got him straight back. So again, Martin is struggling with that corner, but he sticks onto the rear wheel of the Honda. Alex Marquez is going to get annoyed in a minute. Watch their B contact. Sorry, of Alex Marquez the next time he makes a move on Martin, because you can see he's going to get annoyed now. With the amount of time he's getting bumped twice in 3 laps. I mean, you could argue get your elbows out more, lad, but at the same time, what more can you do? But now we come out the last corner, we've got Marquez on the rear. This is 260, 70, 18, 200, 300 kilometres like that. No, that's ridiculously close for 310 kilometres an hour. We're 3 wide in the break, and Martin actually makes the move onto Zarco into turn 1. They were right next to the pit wall going down that straight, but Martin gets Zarco back into turn 1. That's that position done for him, as Raul Fernandez has closed the gap, almost halved it to Pedro Acosta now, coming into turn 3. But the cameras are staying on Martin, Zarco and Marquez coming out of turn 3. Look at the lean, look at this camera angle of Zarco stalking Martin now. Alex Marquez down the inside of Zarco at turn 4. Beautiful move from him. Stunning move from Alex Marquez. That Zarco's going to try and get the undercut. They're side by side now coming out of turn 4. Marquez going to stick it down the inside of turn 5. That's close to contact. That's close to contact. Marquez, there we go, down the inside of turn 5. Don't drop the front now, because the angle you come into, he gets it back. Zarco has to accept that position. Martin 3rd, Marquez 4th, Zarco 5th. That's how it'll stay now for at least a couple of corners, but the cameras will stay on them longer as we go into turn 7. Fernandez has now closed the gap to Acosta to within 3 tenths. So is this part of Acosta's plan? What he said yesterday, he's pushing too hard at the start. Maybe he's coming back a little bit, saving those tyres. Wouldn't surprise me if he's learned anything from yesterday. It will be that. Back down the order, we've got Pekka Bagnaia, who I did just slate on lap 1 being in 15th, is now down into 12th place, up to 12th place. But really, a factory cat, he shouldn't be in 12th in general, but he's in 12th place anyway. Whoop-de-doo, well done. Mir's actually gone from 12th to 9th. Mir's still on the bike. Clap to him. He's still on the machine. Well done, Mir. Up to 9th there, ahead of Marini. I mean, rumour has it Mir's not going to be on the Honda next year anyway. He could be on this Trackhouse bike. I was going to say battle for the Yamahas at the back to see how they're doing. Agura's dropped down to 15th, so he surprised me. The fact that Fernandez is up here and Agura, of all people on the Trackhouse team, is the one down in 15th, which for 1 point. Fernandez now get the slipstream. Pedro Costa is going to be breaking down the inside of turn 1. Oh, Costa had to stand the bike up there. That was close, but beautiful move by Fernandez on the brakes into turn 1. Raul Fernandez now leaves the Spanish Grand Prix. Acosta has settled for second, but there's still 19 laps left. Acosta should learn by now how to handle his front tyres, what he struggles with. Back down the order, Bezzecchi has passed Franco Morbidelli for 7th. Aprilia are doing better than what they did yesterday. Well, they're both still in the race for 1, which is something. However, the pace doesn't quite seem to be there for Bezzecchi. I'm going to breathe now, thank you. We're going to get to a point now with the temperature and the way this track goes. We are going. It's 35 track temperature. That's actually not as high as I thought it'd be, but we're going to get the point where they're going to have to settle in and manage these tyres. Again, I missed who's on what tyres, so I need to see that. I always need to catch that at the start, because there's no way to see again this great timing thing. I love it so much, but there's no way to see with the track map on what tyres each rider is on, which is quite annoying, I can't lie, but here we are. Alex is now up to third. He's got Jorge Martins. This is interesting to see. Digi Antonio is now just tagged onto the back of this Alex Marquez, Martin, Zarco group. Now, Digi Antonio had pace yesterday, again towards the second half of the sprint race, so from lap 6 onwards, but blamed himself for some mistakes he made in qualifying. Oh, something's happened. Bezzecchi's just dropped down from 7th to 11th, so something happened to Marco Bezzecchi. Not quite sure what there, but we're sure we'll get a replay soon, because the camera's now just gone straight back on him. But if results stay like this, Martin will lead the standings by 6 points. So Bezzecchi, I said coming into the weekend, what can Bezzecchi do? How can he respond to Martin's weekend last time out, winning and dominating in Le Mans? Bezzecchi's not really responding very well, which does not suit well for him at all. We're 3-1 into turn 1 now. Digi Antonio, Zarco, Martin, they all stay in the order. Maybe just the problem is when they come down into turn 1 at these speeds, it's very easy for the riders to get sucked in under braking to the bike in front. What sucked in means is because the way the aero works now with these bikes, they lose the braking. You can hit the front brake as hard as you want whenever, but you can lose the braking and kind of get sucked into the draft, sucked into the slipstream. Oh, as Bezzecchi did in turn 10. Perfect example. I mean, he's ran wide anyway. He had to stand the bike up. That's what happened to Bezzecchi. He ran way wide in turn 10, but he almost got sucked in the braking, but he lost 4 positions from it. And another one, because Pecco Bagnaia just got him now. His best mate and teammate, potentially teammate next year, has just passed him. But yeah, when they get sucked in, the riders have to stand the bike up and release the brakes and just go straight. If they try and lean in, the bike isn't going to lean, the bike isn't going to turn. They will crash for one and take someone with them. So that's why I think we're seeing 3 wide moments into turn 1. They're not meaning to overtake. They just want to get out the slipstream. Pedro Acosta, this is why I think he's just calm right now. He's just sitting on Raul Fernandez's rear wheel, maybe building that tyre pressure. We do have that ridiculous tyre pressure rule now. Well, not now, we've had it for a couple of years now, but I do think it's utterly ridiculous. But the one way to build the tyre pressure is follow a bike closely behind, get the temperature up and increase the tyre pressure. Job done. And maybe that's what Pedro Acosta can do now. He can afford to do it by just chilling here in second. He's got the 1.2 gap to Alex Marquez behind, but Marquez is starting to pull Martin in 4th. Go on, show me the top speed down the straight. Here we go. Show me the speed. 3rd gear. 4th gear now. Got to 4th gear. Go 4th gear. 5th gear. That's 300. 6th gear is 320, 330, 340, 351, 352 before the braking zone. And Acosta is going to make a move down the inside of Raul Fernandez after going 352 in the slipstream. Fernandez cuts back. That's beautiful from Fernandez. Gets the undercut between turn 1 and turn 2. Acosta just slightly wide when he made the move at turn 1 and couldn't cover the turn 2 reply from Fernandez. So coming out of turn 3, Fernandez stays in the lead. Did Acosta mean to do that? Probably. I think Acosta thought the job was done, but Fernandez timed that perfectly, placed his bike perfectly. We remain Fernandez leading Pedro Acosta, but this will entice Alex Marquez to close that gap even more. Fernandez is balling right now. He is balling, which is at the same time is not odd, because Fernandez actually isn't decent. Sorry, I got distracted by my phone. Fernandez is a very good rider, actually. He's struggled a couple years in Motogp to get up the scratch of it, but now he's on this Aprilia. Fernandez, he'll be top 10 regularly, as you can see. I'm still surprised Agura is in 14th. And no idea, especially after the last few weekends from America onwards, he's been top 6, top 7 majority of the time. So I'm amazed to see him down struggling all weekend. What's the gap? Alex Marquez has closed the gap to Acosta to 0.8 of a second. So the Alex Marquez is coming, but again, they're all learning from yesterday. I love the sprint race, but at the same time, the sprint race does also help the riders know about tyre management and tyre preservation, so they know where they can push and when they can't push. Now it kind of makes it a bit worse on the Sunday. But that's where we are now. I do love the entertainment of the sprint race, but it does also take away a little matter of tyre wear on the Sunday itself, because the riders know. Let's be real here. The real goat right now is Mir, still in the back. I said that. That's why I gave a round of applause for Mir. He's actually 8th as well. This is close. Di Giannantonio's going to be on the grass nearly down the straight, 349 kilometers an hour, and the inside of Zarco on the braking. He'll get that move done. Zarco didn't hesitate to squeeze in there down the right side of the main straight, staggering from there. They do it at that close, at that speed. But he comes to turn 2 move. It's beautiful from Di Giannantonio into turn 3, stays ahead of Zarco, and that's P5 for Di Giannantonio. His next target will be Jorge Martin, who I imagine he will get based on the pace of Di Giannantonio yesterday at this point in the sprint race as well. I've just heard the comment Gavin Emmett say 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th all quicker than Fernandez and Acosta. Yeah, because they're calm, that's why. They're saving. These two are not going to push until lap 24, lap 19, lap 18 I reckon is when the leaders will push. They don't want to lead. That's the funny thing about this track event. They don't want to lead because of how the tyres are wearing out on the side, especially the right hand side of the tyre. That's why Alex Marquez has closed it to 4.5 tenths now to Acosta. The leaders, the top two, are not pushing. They won't be annoyed if the pack behind them catch them. They really won't be. Just looking back down the order, oh, look at that. I said Quartaro did well to stay in the top 10. He started 7th. He's down in 16th, and that's currently no points, I believe, for Yamaha. Looking for the names, I'm correct. That's no points at all for Yamaha. Bear in mind, Motogp do the points, the top 15. We've got the Yamahas. The factory Yamahas are 16th and 18th. Bear in mind, Quartaro started 7th, but the thing can't race. And you've got Jack Miller in 17th and Toprak in 20th. Toprak behind Vinales as well. Oh. Does he regret leaving World Superbikes? Probably. I wouldn't leave MotoGP, but I don't know why he signed for Yamaha of all teams. But we still call that Battle of the Stinkers, and they're right there fulfilling that dream. Pedro Acosta now down the slipstream of Fernandez into turn 1. He's going to cover him now under braking, put him in the slipstream, so Fernandez will have the dirty air into turn 1. That's beautiful from Acosta, the way he lined it up on the exit of the braking. Coming out of turn 2 into turn 3, Pedro Acosta once again leads the Spanish Grand Prix. Fernandez is going to stay with him, but Acosta learned from the lap or two before and made sure Fernandez could not get any reply into turn 2 and had to get in his dirty air. Now the one to look for will be Alex Marquez, who is now caught this top 2 and will be next to make the move on Fernandez if Fernandez doesn't reply quickly to Pedro Acosta. Maybe that's why Acosta's made the move now, because he can feel Alex Marquez coming. He knows he's there, and now's the time to make the break from Alex Marquez, because again, we saw yesterday, Marquez does have pace. If that's the fact, and that's the way he's done it, that's very smart from Acosta. He's slightly building a gap to Fernandez, but not a noticeable one yet to make a difference to prove my point. But if I am correct there, I will let everyone know that once again I am right in what I'm saying. Yeah, he has to make a move. Marquez has to make a move. There's a gap between Zarco and Morbidelli. Morbidelli still... See, we clapped Johan Mir for standing on the bike. Morbidelli still 7th. Got to give him a round of applause as well. He hasn't dropped it yet. I mean, he hasn't got a ride next year, but he hasn't dropped it yet. So you have to, give him a shout when you can. Get rid of that. It's weird actually what's happening in this race, because Fernandez, the pace is going up and down per rider, so no rider is actually matching another one's pace. Alex Marquez will make the win for Fernandez to turn 1. As we come out of the last corner, I love this angle of watching the speed come up. Yeah, as you can see the riders are managing the tyres, but Alex Marquez in the slipstream, Raul Fernandez here, Ducati versus Aprilia down this, under the camera angle, I love it, they go under the cameraman on the crane. Alex Marquez ran the outside, oh, the rear wheel's in the air, if he stops this bike I'll be amazed. Of course he stopped it. I don't know why I do that. I don't know how these boys do it. But under braking, Alex Marquez had that rear tyre in the air and he latched all the rear brake he could to get that thing back down. But Alex Marquez is now in 2nd place and has to close the gap to Acosta, who has put a slight gap of half a second to these two battling for 2nd. Someone's gone down. There's Benair Bastianini, if his name is dropping down the order. That's surely got to be a turn 1 or turn 2 incident. You just heard it on the stream I'm watching. You just heard the sound of the gravel on the floor. It is Bastianini, of course. I want to see if that is turn 1 or turn 2. He was, again, Bastianini was having quite a quiet weekend. The rumours is he could go back to Cressini next year, so I don't think he's pulled a blinder there if that's the fact that he goes go to Cressini. That would be impressive. I did say I'd shout out Steph and Vicky. Just remembered I needed to do that, but I've done that now, so whoop-de-doo. Well done, you deserve that one. I was meant to do that 10 laps ago, but I've just remembered. It's a long yellow flag, actually, which makes me think it's turn 1. The fact that he's gone that deep into the gravel trap. But that could almost numb the next lap. Oh, the yellow flag's gone. There you go. Ignore me. They've done it. They've sorted it. Oh, he's already back inside the track. So, I wonder where he fell then. He's on the inside now of turn 1, so that's a weird place for him to be That made me think. That made me think he fell off at turn 2, maybe. Yeah, this is again. This is between. I'm going to start every now and again because I'm watching what Acosta's doing coming out the corner. Because there's certain techniques you can see riders do when they pick the bike up coming out of the corner itself, and that's all about tire preservation and tire management. And that's exactly what Acosta's doing. But this is the first time I've seen Acosta actually do that because the first time he's led for this long in a MotoGP race. So this is what, even though he's one of the best, this is what he is still learning, and it's good to watch actually. Alex Marquez, now he's won a few, so he kind of knows how to do it on a MotoGP bike, but he is closed the gap to Pedro Acosta. I imagine he will make the move soon as well as we go to turn 4. Alex Marquez is kind of stalking the KTM of Acosta now. Coming out the exit, they're going to go from the left side of the track all the way to the right. Marquez a much tighter line than Acosta. He's got more grip than him right now. He's either got more grip or he's using more tyre than Acosta right now. You could see on the exit of turn 4, Acosta using a wider sweeping line and Marquez just sticking to the inside line, coming through the whole long corner, down to turn 6, into turn 7. Now they do the turn 7, back up the hill to the kink of turn 8. But Marquez still staying 2 tenths behind Acosta. None of them on the green. That's close. The bike does a wobble there coming out turn 7 and 8, which I find staggering. Acosta, you want to get the knee over the curb at turn 9. Here they go, and they want to plant the throttle down, get the right device down. God, these boys are impressive, aren't they? And what they can do on this bike is even more impressive. Sideways into turn 10, he's just following, and the gaps within 2 tenths. Acosta again wide into turn 10. So now the odds are going to be of Alex Marquez to make the move. There's the Marquez stand on the left. Unfortunately, there is no Marc Marquez for them to watch, which is quite, that's very unfortunate. And Marco Bezzecchi is down to 13th now. As Ayagura on the satellite KTM has got him. This is not a good showing from Aprilia factory. Yes, you can say Martin's in 4th, but he's crashed 4 times this weekend, so we're not really going to big him up, are we? We're going to big him up for recovering from 4 crashes. Back to the lead. Marquez now in the stitch in Pedro Acosta down the straight. That's 200 miles an hour, 210 miles an hour, side by side. Under the crane they go. That'll be done under braking. Acosta's going to stick down the inside. He's going to squeeze Alex Marquez under braking. That is beautiful from Acosta. He squeezed Marquez completely under braking. Standard Marquez up so he can't turn in. Acosta keeps the lead, and that is Pedro Acosta with his elbows out. I do enjoy watching Pedro Acosta when he turns into that shark that he calls himself. But he's wide in turn 3. He's leaving the dark line coming turn 3, and the exit of turn 3 into turn 4. Alex Marquez might make the move into turn 4. Now he's going to stick with him. Possibly aim for the inside of turn 5, but I love that camera shot of them going to turn 1. Their knees, Acosta's left knee and Alex Marquez's right knee is effectively touching going into that braking zone. It's staggering to watch. Down the hill now for turn 5. Do they both survive it? Yes, they do, but Alex Marquez is still stalking the KTM of Pedro Acosta. Down the hill we back up. Acosta's leaning off the bike. Alex Marquez is surely the favourite right now, but I just never know of Acosta what he's doing with those tyres or what place he's in with them. They're putting the gap now to Raul Fernandez. What is it? 6 tenths of a second to Raul Fernandez, who's 6 tenths also ahead of Jorge Martin. Again, I said about factory Aprilia's Martin, alright, but Marco Bezzecchi down at 13th is not helping his case for responding to Martin from Le Mans. We go back down the back straight into turn 10. Oh, that's huge. Oh, that's huge. Oh, that's huge. That's ugly. Oh, that's ugly. That's a hideous crash. That is a absolutely hideous crash. Pedro Acosta had a problem, and Alex Marquez has gone into the back of Pedro Acosta down the back straight into turn 10, and Marquez, that's going to be horrific for Alex Marquez. We do want to see, or we want information quickly on the update of Alex Marquez there, because he's gone straight into the wall, but that's a hideous crash. Oh, that was absolutely hideous to watch. We don't enjoy that one at all. Instant red flag. Acosta's got in the rear of the back, but we want to see Alex Marquez now to see the condition he's in. Of course, they also took out Di Antonio, I think, with the bike, but that is... Oh, that's a hideous incident to see. No idea what happened to Acosta's bike. There's no rear end left on that bike at all. That is an absolutely hideous crash. Was it a puncture for Acosta? It might have been a puncture for Pedro Acosta. I think the commentators saying we hope Alex is okay. We do all hope Alex is okay, because that was not a crash you want to see again. They're pushing Acosta, but that was oh. Especially going down the back straight as well. That's one of the highest speed going up to 5th gear. Going 190 miles an hour. The problem was when Alex Marquez did make contact with Acosta, because the speed him was going into the back. Di Antonio's in, a bit of a contact hit Di Antonio going into turn 10 as well. Di Antonio's holding his hand, so he looks like he's done his fingers in. I'm not surprised, because I think a wheel hit Di Antonio into turn 10. Bezzecchi said the bike cut out and there was nothing, so we want to see what happened there. But this is the problem. This is the horrible wait now to see what the condition of Alex Marquez is. Well, it says race to be restarted, but let's hang on a little bit. We need to know what Alex Marquez is doing before the race does restart itself. Oh, that was an ugly one. That's one of the worst ones you could see, actually, when there's the speed difference of happening like that. And the problem was that the incident happened at a point where there's not a lot of runoff either, so Alex Marquez did go into the back of the bike, which already knocks them out cold. With a lack of runoff down that straight. Did he go? I didn't see if he went into the wall or not. We hope not, for the sake of him. See, now we have the horrible wait now to see the condition of the rider after that. My brain can comprehend what happened. I saw what happened was, I don't know if it was a rear puncture for Acosta or Acosta's bike, the engine cut out, and because Alex Marquez, we saw how close he was going onto the straight after turn 9. Alex Marquez couldn't avoid Acosta with the gap going. Oh, it says he's conscious. Oh, thank God. Still wanted more update on Alex Marquez after that, but conscious is a very good sign. But because Alex Marquez was so close to Pedro Acosta, he could not avoid him with the speed they're going. I said that's 190 mile an hour going down there. He could not avoid, because they're all clapping. Maybe that's a good sign. But I can hear the crowd clapping for whatever reason. Antonio is making his way back. If he broke his hand, he's gone back on the bike. That's quite. Not quite sure. But the bike did hit. Will they show on this on replay? I hope not. I do hope not that they won't show on replay. But then it all depends on. In crashes like this, it depends on the condition of the rider. If he's hurt that badly, then they won't show a replay at all. If it comes out that, they do love pain, which is really weird. I've seen the podcast before. Oh, we're showing a replay of Acosta anyway. Oh, it's gonna be horrible to watch. What's this one? So Acosta, what speed they going? 4th gear. Oh, yeah, it was the speed. Alex Marquez couldn't avoid him. The thing. Oh, and then it hits Antonio as well. That's a huge one. It was 3rd gear. Oh, this is gonna be horrible. Marquez cannot avoid him. Showing the replay, goes into 3rd gear. Alex Marquez can't avoid him. How Alex stayed on the bike when he hit, I don't know, but that then flung his body more and more after hitting Acosta. I did think initially he came off the bike straight away. Oh, well, this still looked hideous, because after staying on the bike, as soon as it hits the dirt in that condition with that speed, you're out of control. He's going to get flung by the bike itself. Antonio's injured his left hand. You can see that clearly of how he's riding the bike. Again, the loose wheel hit Antonio into turn 10. He will not take the restart. I'd be amazed if he takes the restart. He hasn't moved his left hand. No, straight down the back of the garage. He's done his either left hand or his left wrist of what hit him. Oh, that's the thing of bike racing. It's sometimes at a crash like that, it gets you and you have to think, okay, they do risk their lives with their job. It did say he's conscious, but at the same time we have had misleading messages from the Motogp team before when it comes to this. So I'm waiting to see for further news on Alex Marquez. Because we also had an incident, I think it was last year, Moto3, they said one of the riders was conscious when in fact he wasn't at the time, so. God, that's the speed difference in that hit was, that's the worst incident you can have on bike racing, is when something like that happens. And Alex couldn't react. Alex could not react to that at all. Of course, the ambulance is out. Alex Marquez, a lot of people around him as well. I mean, he's going to be on the stretcher straight into the ambulance with that. If he is conscious, which we do hope that is a true message. Oh, don't want to think what's broken with that, because his body will be absolutely battered. That's so rare as well to have an incident like that where the leading rider has that power cut. That's so rare to happen in MotoGP and in bike racing itself. They're building Di Antonio's next bike. I'm amazed why. If he's holding his arm that much, he really shouldn't be on the thing. Oh, that's awful for Marquez. That absolutely awful for him. All riders eligible for the restart except 23 and Marquez. Well, yeah, of course. That's obvious. Thanks for that message, race direction. We didn't need to know that, did we? We already knew that. That could take a while to clear. Yeah, the thing with Digente, there's fluid on the track as well into turn 10. Of course there is. That's going to be from Alex Marquez's bike. But another worry of that is the bike. Digi definitely got broken up. Yeah, I'd be amazed if Digi doesn't. He had a whole wheel hit him at that speed. I'd be amazed because the bike didn't take the hit. Digi did. Of course, the main concern here is, well, both of them. Digi, we know, is okay. He's back in garage, but again, he will not be back on that bike. I'll tell you that now, because that wheel hit him at an angle where it's either his arm or his wrist, has to be. But Marquez, we want to see how he is doing. He is in the ambulance now. The one maybe benefit for Marquez is the fact that he stayed on the bike means he did maybe bounce on the grass and not straight into the wall with his body. That's the difference. If he went straight into the wall with his body, we're looking at a very, very scary image at the minute. Oh, they're trying to replay of someone. I don't know if I want to see this one. Oh, it maybe hit. Okay, so the tyre, you can see the onboard of Digi. Digi hits the tyre coming bouncing us on the track, but you can avoid. Well, no, sorry, you couldn't avoid the tyre bouncing through the track, but it did hit low in the bike. So maybe that he's holding his fingers, it seems, not his arm. But so maybe he strapped his hand underneath the bike while falling, so maybe it wasn't contact with the wheel itself. Oh, but you just see on now, Alex Marquez, the speed he's gone off the bike out there is just scary. And the way he's gone through you just see him sliding on the grass. Already, he's out cold. 100% he was out cold when he came off the bike. But it's so fortunate that when he came off the bike, you can see there's a little angled barrier at the end of that straight, and we are so fortunate Alex Marquez didn't hit the barrier at that angle, and that he managed to avoid that and come off the bike onto the grass down there where there's a big runoff. So if he is okay, there's going to be a few, if he is conscious and he is okay, there's going to be a few battered bones in that body. But that's very lucky there. Extremely, extremely lucky if we've got away with that one. Still, KTM are now going to be panicking of what happened to Acosta's bike. Race 3 restarted for 13 laps. Grid positions based on standings as of lap 11. Oh, so yeah, so as Neil Hodgson said, we are going to have another sprint race effectively, which is okay. It's a good sign that they are still racing. Yeah, so it's a good sign that we are still racing. If it was a worse condition for Marquez, you'd think from times before in the past when it's worse for the rider, they do stop the race there and then. Alex Marquez in the back of the ambulance. Oh, I don't want to see this replay. Oh, they're showing the replay, Alex Marquez. I don't want to see this. So Marquez hits Acosta. He's on the bike now, but he's going towards the wall. Yeah, he's a passenger. He's still on the bike, but he's an absolute passenger at this point. He then comes fast on the grass. He's got the lead. Marquez doing a hell of a job. Yeah. I'm very glad they stopped the replay after that. Very glad they stopped the replay after that, because I did not want to see the bike or Marquez hit that wall. Oh. That's a rough one. Yeah, so Hodgson just said on commentary, it's a good sign that they're showing the crash. That is a very good sign that they are showing that crash, because that again means a sign that there are things happening in the ambulance, which is good. But wow, we got lucky with that one. Every now and again you get lucky in bike racing. That was one of them. But now we're all passengers when it comes to their condition, because we don't know until the news breaks on the actual live media. But we will have a restarted race, which is going to become a sprint race. Digi's back in the garage. Well, I'm amazed that he's back in the garage. I hope he's not. Well, he looks like he's going to restart the race. I'm amazed by that. Oh, I have just seen they did, for some reason, tweet the replay of the crash on the TNT Twitter page. And I did just watch that one, so... Oh, Alex Marquez is definitely out cold during that crash. But again, we will all get an update at the same time with him. So what's the grid of the restart? I haven't actually looked at this. We've got Bezzecchi down in 11th. Of course, there'll be places moved up. Acosta... Lap 11 it was, so that was the start of that lap. So Acosta will start from pole again. Martin will start third. They've done well to clean that track, I'll tell you that, because there were bikes, parts everywhere and fluid everywhere. They've done a hell of a job to clean it. Alex's bike did split in two. I'm listening to the commentary at the same time. His bike did split completely in two. But again, it was one of those crashes where as soon as Alex Marquez came off, because he came off the bike at that speed at an angle, thankfully again, I think he clipped the wall at some point of his body, but it wasn't the first impact. He won't remember a thing of that crash. Alex Marquez won't remember a single thing with that crash. He was out cold instantly as soon as he hit the floor. But again, a good sign that they showed that part of the replay. It's a good sign that we are already looking to restart the race for a 13-lap sprint race. There is no time as to when they'll restart the race as of yet. God. Someone changed the conversation topic now, because now we're just waiting. Who we got in here? We got, I know Pav's in here still. I believe Scott's here. Ben's here. I don't know what Marty's looking at something on his phone. Probably telemetry. It does make me laugh now how all the telemetry is on like phones and tablets. I remember the days where it used to be on a piece of paper. I used to print them out in the back of the garage and dish it out. Yeah, Pav, this is the thing that happens. But when you have a crash like that in bike racing, it does take a bit to... Scott's cleaning. He's such an adult. But yeah, it does. Crashes like that, you do have to kind of sit back and kind of... Not process, that's a weird way to say process the crash, but when there's big crashes... Bike racing is and will always be the most dangerous form of racing for reasons like that, because when things go wrong, you can very rarely avoid the consequence. Oh, they've just showed a replay of Marquez is on board. Okay, well that's a pointless replay. But now, the good point is, what they're making on commentary is, the riders involved in a crash, like Acosta, now have to bring the heart rate back down and control the adrenaline, because you can't go back on the bike with your adrenaline through the roof like that. Did they say what happened to Acosta? No, it'd be they haven't said it yet, but it sounded like an engine problem. The fact that he went, cause as soon as he clicked to third to fourth, I think it was third to fourth gear, something happened there, the transition to gear shift. So I'd be amazed if anything but engine related. And I'm back. Sorry, had Casper's getting in the way. How rude. Oh yeah, Ben, I forgot you're working. That's quite funny actually. And you're a chef, so what are they doing? Go on your break or something, if you even have one. That is. It's interesting. Now I'm hearing Neil Hodgson say the perspective from a rider after what is a break. Yeah, you wouldn't know. Hearing Neil Hodgson's perspective after a crash like that from a rider perspective, where he says, despite what's happening in your mind, you have to be selfish and put the thought away, and then become the rider again with a helmet on and get back on the bike and do it again. Which is this is why riders like this are at the top of their game, because they're able to put that segment in their mind, put the fear part away when they choose to. And if they can't choose to and they're there, that's when you see the difference in when they drop back in their careers. And the ones who are able to put it to the side box, put it away, and it's not. It is selfish. Of course, it's selfish, because you're going to have people worried about now, especially people who know them in their lives. You're going to have people worried about now what happens in the next 13 laps. But this is bike racing. These are the dangers that come with it. And then I showed an advert. So yeah, now we're just waiting for the sprint race. I don't have an advert to show, so I just have to ramble on more through this ad break. Pav, did you see what happened in the 24-hour race? I was speaking to Ben about this earlier in the chat. So we had Max breakdown. Verstappen broke down at the end of it, or 4 hours left of his 24-hour race. This race had been red flagged. If West Ham lose to Newcastle and then we have to beat Chelsea on Tuesday, I'm going to be devastated with the weekend how it's gone. Oh yeah, the drive shaft problem. In case you missed it. Yeah. So yeah, I think it was a drive shaft issue. He put like a 35-second gap, I think, to the cars behind, and then when they changed to Ucadella, initially it was an ABS problem, but then it came out as a drive shaft issue. I'm surprised TNT have tweeted that crash already. 10 minutes ago they tweeted the crash. I'm amazed by that they've showed it. Like, I know it says he's conscious, but at the same time, we've had reports before when riders are conscious when they've not been, so it's not really one to trust. Yeah, the bit of Engel going down the back straight with the two back markers was rough. But it's impressive how the drivers in those GT cars stick around the North Slifer like that. It's staggering, I think, the speed they're going at some of those corners. And it's just, the terrain is constantly up and down. But now we have to focus on what's now going to be another sprint race. So we have a 12-race sprint race yesterday. Then we had how many laps was that? A 13 lap? No, what was that? 11 laps actually. 11 lap race now. So we've had 3 sprint races. We will have 3 sprint races. 1 yesterday and effectively 2 today. Now I want to see what tyres everyone goes on, because now the tyre savings is going to go out the window and they're going to replicate what they did yesterday. Which maybe is a positive they had the sprint race yesterday, because they can now kind of do the same steps in a way. Pedro Costa knows what he has to do. Alex Marquez is obviously out of the race, so he knows his biggest rival is gone. So he'll have to mark Fernandez and Martin, but I think he'll be able to pull the gap. Yes, I think what Max is doing is great for motorsport around the world. Oh yeah, Pav, Ben was never a Max fan. I've changed him to that side now that he's seen the light. We're not talking about. Listen, one thing that'll be banned in this chat while Formula 1 is not on is the term charging batteries, right? No. That's not happening in this chat. While you have seen a light. I'm proud of you for Ben for that as well. But that's not happening in this chat. When Formula 1 isn't on, yeah, ban the word batteries. When Formula 1 is not on, we can talk about batteries when I'm streaming the Formula 1 race. I think it's next weekend in Canada, isn't it? But when Formula 1 isn't on, we're not talking about batteries. That's not allowed here. We talk about natural racing. Thank you. Yeah, Canada next Sunday evening. We can talk about batteries then. I have some AAA batteries in my remote. Yeah, well, Williams apparently has got a Duracell battery in their bloody car. But again, that's not a conversation happening, because I don't like the conversation about how the Formula 1 cars are running. Again, bring the next F1 races on, because then we can all rant about it here. And I will rant throughout the entire race of the state of Formula 1 itself with these regulations, whatever they're calling it now. As we're still waiting for the next part of the race to start. The cameras are back on MotoGP itself. Max Resource is back in F1 that vibrate. Oh, honestly. He really, really will. At least the first laps are pretty exciting. Who cares about the next 55? Are we still talking about the Formula 1 batteries right now? We are, aren't we? The first 5 laps aren't even entertaining. The power surges. Again, you've annoyed me now, right? And you knew you would as well. That's what I don't like. It's not fair what we have to watch in Formula 1. It's really not. The first 5 laps aren't even entertaining. The first lap's entertaining, going to turn 1, and then whoever's got the biggest power surge come out. Miami helped a little bit with the things they changed, but some of the overtakes were more natural and some were on the brakes, which is good to see. But then there was some down that long back straight in Miami where I think Leclerc ran wide at one point coming out of that S section. Ran wide, went on the water, Piastri passed him, and then Leclerc passed him back the same straight. Why is that a thing? Why you shouldn't be able to do that in Formula 1 at all? But that's the state they're in at the minute. The next goal for this pod stream live from a race. In fairness, with these engines, you'd hear me over the engines, so that's quite funny, actually. That's another thing to rant about, isn't it? This is why I want to do a podcast live on Twitch, to get interest like this so I can be distracted while talking and then just rant about it. They should use the batteries from Tesla cars, they last longer. Oh, so we're going down this battery joke still route, are we? That's funny. I'm glad you're enjoying that. Live from a race. Who's paying for my ticket to go to the race, by the way? In fact, I am going to Silverstone for Motogp, so maybe I'll bring the interface with me and just my mic and plug in my Mac. That sounds like a plan. Definitely not going to do that, but would be funny. But you subscribing. Pav, I'm pretty sure you haven't actually subscribed yet. I know Ben has, and I big up Ben for that. But Pav, I'm pretty sure you haven't subscribed yet, just saying. You do need the money for Roman, that's true. That's a good point, I didn't even think of that. Do you remember when Binder's bike cut out on the way to the grid? The other KTMs, that's fascinating. But is that the same problem, or is that just a pure coincidence that it's Binder's bike? I will sub next payday, thank you. Do everything fine in line with Twitch. It's actually not a bad idea. Can you do that? Can you live stream the races from the crowd if you're there on Twitch without getting banned? That's a good point. Actually, I've just thought about the Brad Binder thing. That's very interesting as to what happened to that KTM before the race as well. I didn't even make that connection because I forgot it happened. Stanley's motorbike fundraising. Honestly, Scott, this could be the way to do it. This could be the way to get my bike. It's just funding me on here. Actually, that's a very good idea. You've just put that idea in my head now. Pit lane's open in 1 minute 42. So we are going again. So again, I see Pedro Costa will on pole still. Fernandez and Martin are behind him or alongside him on the front row. Di Antonio's in a perfect spot in P4 if he's racing. I'll be amazed if he's racing. Or a seat in the GT3 car. Well, don't tempt me, Ben. Do not tempt me. If I had the money, I would be. Not out of talent, out of just having the money. I'd be in the, what was it, the Dacia car for the 24 hours. Which when that went out the race as well, when that lost the wheel. So we had Verstappen out and the Dacia out within 10 minutes of each other. Bezzecchi would be one to... the fact that Iagura got Bezzecchi as well, at one point Bezzecchi was, what, 7th or something? Or 8th, and Iagura was 15th? Oh, something just happened in my year. Curly Tops is now following... That's my dad. I know for a fact my dad's just done that name. Thank you, Father. Gonna start a petition to get Max in the Dacia. Actually, Dad, you can subscribe as well, because I know you can pay the £2.50 extra as well. Thanks for following, but you can do the next one as well, just saying. Gonna start a petition to get Max in the Dacia. Yeah, I mean, that would be... Max would drive anything, it'd be quick, wouldn't he? I did like the BMW touring car. There's a few old bangers, actually, in the 24 hours race, which were quite entertaining to see. But all the cameras... Di Antonio is getting on the bike. They're insane, these boys. They're not correct. None of them are correct. He just had a tyre with a brake system still aligned to the tyre, hit his bike and take him off. Clearly he's got damage on his hand, and he has gone back on the bike for the restart for this next 12 laps, or 13 laps, what it'll be. Staggered by it. Absolutely staggered by it. I mean, they're all warriors. That's the difference with these riders. They're all warriors. Absolutely all of them. The guys will now be on Pedro Costa. Although it feels like it is an interrupted race, but remember Pedro Costa is still chasing his first victory in MotoGP. Of course, we all want to know the condition of Alex Marquez now. That is in the ambulance and the race restart is a good sign, but we still want to see how okay he is, if he is. But these riders now, this is what makes them special. These riders can put that in the back of their minds now. They'll go back on the bike and they're all lining up to the grid to once again go 220 mile an hour down that home straight. This is why they're doing that and we're here watching, because they're born of a different breed than what we are. I mean, there was the update Alex Marquez was taken to hospital for further examinations. Well, yes, obviously. Thank you for that update. I don't get those updates. It's like I feel like they put them out there just to kind of try and ease nerves, but at the same time, we saw him go in the ambulance, so we know that. But thank you. Maybe that's me being pessimistic. But pit lane is closed. All riders are back out. All riders are on the way back out to the grid. One's to watch going. Who's going to lead into turn one now? I've said it won't be Acosta twice, and it's been Acosta twice. So to keep on that theme, I'm going to say it's not going to be Acosta, and it's going to be Martin now, just to keep that rhythm up. Oh, Pav, you have subscribed. Thank you. Yeah, now I'm not going to moan, because I know it wasn't payday today either. So I know you've done that out of your own love in your heart. Thank you. I need to turn that alert down, by the way, because that scared the life out of me twice now. I thought I had turned it down, but it just hasn't done what I wanted it to. God, if I was on a KTM, I'd be panicking now over the state of my engine. The fact you have two KTMs cut out, one going at full speed, going into fourth gear as well. I get a notification that says 3 out of 10 new subs. That's quite funny. I didn't know it did that. This is a weird view. There was I don't know who was watching the stream on their own stream, but they had a camera view from the bird's eye view onto the grid there, and you saw the bikes lining up in the grid slots. That made me feel very weird, that one. I didn't like that. Don't do that. The vertigo feeling then was awful. Don't do that one again. But warm-up lap is going to start. We are, of course, a few riders down this time. Brinda, I think, is starting this one, but he is starting from the back of the field. I think it's correct. It is correct. Just for anyone who needs to know, we've got Pedro Costa, Fernandez, Martin, front row. Did you get your dad to drop a comment? He doesn't know how to. He's listening and he's laughing in a minute, I guarantee you, but I know for a fact he doesn't know how to. That's good, actually. Oh, okay. I'm going to steal his go-karts if you don't drop a comment. Well, we're selling most of them anyway, so you might as well pay for one. Do you know what I mean? But what was our second row? Did Antonio second go? Zarco in 5th, second row. Morbidelli lines up the second row in 6th. Then we got Mir, Aldeguer, Marini, 2 Hondas on the third row, 7th and 9th, with Aldeguer lodged between them on the only Grissini left in the race. He's never going to get a motorbike. There's my dad. He's found out to comment now. Okay, now we're at this point in the conversation where my dad's entered. All we need is Ben, and then now this will make the whole family try, wouldn't it? Well, Ben. In fairness, my brother did say he'll join for the F1 one, not MotoGP, because he's a prat. Anyway, go for 4th row. Bagnaia, Ogura, Bezzecchi. Oh, we got those. That's quite a stacked 4th row, isn't it? Bagnaia, Ogura in the middle, and Bezzecchi in 12th. Quartararo, Moreira, and Vinales. That's the top 15. And in case you don't know, the ones 15th and lower are the other Yamahas. So, Mum said you can, though. Thank you, Mother. This is hilarious. My dad's talking to me for a Twitch chat. I know Mum wants me to get a bike. I just can't afford it. Anyway, back on the race now. You can stop commenting now, Dad. Thank you. You've entertained Pav enough. Yes, I agree, Pav. We are lining up to good. I guarantee what Pedro will do. If he gets the launch again, he'll once again go down the inside, going down the main straight to maybe put Fernandez and Martin off the throttle to lose momentum. But to do that, he needs the launch like he got the last 2 races, especially one. We have the gorgeous green flag at the back of the field again, so we are once again racing for the 5 lights to go out. 5 lights are on and are now off. We have started the race again. Pedro Acosta, not quite a good launch. I said Martin will into turn 1, and we've got Acosta and Martin side by side. But Martin had to come off the throttle because of Acosta back in, pushing him into Fernandez. But Acosta will lead into turn 1. There's another shunt, and it's 2 of them now, 3 of them. That's a Honda, that's Zarco, that's Bagnaia, who else? Someone else involved in there. That's going to be another big shunt. I think I didn't see who was with Zarco and Bagnaia, but that was someone with them into turn 1. Again, look, a painful one, as someone might have been wrapped up into that. He's into second now with that happening. Again, I missed completely what happened at the time when there was too many bikes going into it. The dangers, that was very 2006 that crash, actually, to be honest with you. Another red flag. Oh, this is, again, Not a good advertisement for MotoGP at this track is this. And that, yep, now the commentators are saying how many times at this track has that happened. I did say again, the podcast coming up, it's very 2006-esque with the way this track lines up with these bikes. And now Pecco Bagnaia is holding his wrist. It's never a good sign when a rider holds his wrist. Was it Marini? Was Marini the third guy involved in it? It was Marini. Well, Marini's on his feet. Bagnaia's on his feet. We haven't seen Zarco yet. I do believe Zarco maybe got wrapped up in with his bike in the collision itself. But Zarco was the one who I think actually caused. Zarco had under braking but could not lead the bike in. I think he went into Bagnaia, who maybe went into Marini. But that is another red flag. Still haven't seen Zarco. Marini and Bagnaia helping up clean the bikes up, which tells me the red flag is for the condition of Zarco. So yet again, we're waiting. Again, it's not a good advertisement for this track with these bikes. We have said it for many years. Going down here, Acosta got a very good launch again. But the thing is, Martin did get a better one, but Acosta made Martin come off the throttle just by nudging him to the side. The question what happened to Zarco in the crash, I do believe Zarco did get caught up with his bike. Now, are we going to have a second restart, or are they going to cancel the race there now because of the incidents that are happening? We've seen that before. Crash seemed very similar to yesterday's. Two were defo passengers in this. Yeah. I mean, it's the typical, there's the usual turn one crashes here. Zarco is still on the floor. We've just seen him in the background, so that's the red flag. Is Zarco is in quite a bit of pain, so I do believe Zarco got caught up with his bike. I did see him kind of fly over the bike itself and was going through the gravel, which is the problem when you go from another red flag and going to the shower. Yeah, Scott, they can't ride today. I'm gonna be honest. They seem to struggle to avoid each other today. This one was the usual turn one incident. All riders conscious. Well, there's a sign. But I do believe that came from Zarco causing the collision. He went straight under braking, went into Bagnaia, who went into Marini. But then I think the problem when you come from the runoff where it's tarmac onto gravel, as soon as you hit the gravel, the bike will then roll. And if you're still attached to the bike when it's rolling, it's going to roll on you, and then you roll with the bike like a death roll. Is it a death roll with the crocodile? That's what a MotoGP bike will do if you're attached to it while it's going through the gravel. I do feel like that's what's happened to Zarco there. Well, today's a reminder of bike racing, isn't it? Oh, they're showing a replay, though. I don't know who we're on board with. We're on board with Bezzecchi. It's ahead of a launch. We're going to see Zarco on the left of Bezzecchi's onboard kind of... He's going to get caught on the brake and go into Marini and into Pecco. Yeah, it's Zarco. You can see, by the way, Zarco was on his bike when he went to the gravel. So Zarco went into Marini, who then went into Pecco Bagnaia. So Zarco got his braking wrong. But Zarco was underneath his bike when it went into the gravel, which means when it all hit the gravel, he was the one who got the biggest tumble. Hence, I think, the red flag for this. Because normally they can clear out properly. But, of course, they need to go after Zarco. I was about to say Zarco missed the consistency. Normally, you know, especially the last few rounds he's been, but that one, you know, might sound harsh. That one was on him on this one. But, again, we wait to see if Zarco is okay and if he has come out with injuries. Ones, they said he's conscious, but he is still in the gravel with the medical team. More chat. More chat. See, this is funny now, because now they're trying to fill the hole on the live TV talking about rumours and the news of Puig moving to the advisory role in Honda. Davide Brivio going from Aprilia, Trackhouse Aprilia to Honda itself. You're getting relegated. Okay, one thing we're going to ban in this chat, right, is the talk of batteries without Formula 1 being on and the talk of Tottenham getting relegated. Because that's also true. It's also still painful to talk about. Was it now a 12-lap race? What's hilarious? Can you see the title on the screen, right? Relegate the batteries. I agree with that one. Look at the title on the screen. Grand Prix Part 2. And they're now going to do a Grand Prix Part 3. Oh, these boys are different. Marini's now running back to get onto his second bike. But yeah, surely, yeah, that's what Gavin Emmons said. 3 laps were complete, so surely Marini can't come back onto his second bike. He's going to try to change the leathers. Oh, They're still helping Zarco in the gravel, so this is quite a long delay for a shot like that. So he was definitely wrangled up with his bike. Oh, we're showing the full replay now. So why did Martin actually... Acosta didn't squeeze Martin. Martin seems to have a problem with his own accord. Maybe with an upshift. I think he upshifted a bit too late. So Acosta didn't actually do anything to squeeze Martin. Zarco just got the braking all wrong. Yeah, he's wrapped up with... Oh, he was wrapped up with Pecco's bike. It wasn't even his bike. He was wrapped up on the rear wheel of Pecco's bike when it hit the gravel. That's what happened. Yeah, he was caught under Pecco's bike. So you've got to remember that when he was caught under Pecco's bike, the bike was still standing, and he would have been caught up in that rear wheel. That's the unfortunate day for Motogp today, really. Race to be restarted for 12 laps. Well, they still haven't moved Zarco from the gravel chaps. I think it's brave that Race Direction is sending out race restart messages. That's a bit, you know, what's the word? A bit preemptive, whatever the word is, from Race Direction to assume. Let's already plan the next race. Let's wait till Zarco's out the gravel chap first, shall we? Also, was I right in saying Mir got up to second coming out of turn 3 before the red flag? He was P2, wasn't he? He won't start P2, which is quite unfortunate for him. He really... Because of how the red flags rules work, he won't start P2. He'll start where he started before, which is 7th. This is Mir, who is falling out publicly with HRC Honda as well. Watch him drop it on the restart. Yeah, I mean... Well, the way this race is going, if you just finish the race, you've got to get points. So he just needs to finish the thing at this point. But knowing me, he'll push a bit too hard on a bike that can't do it. But again, we're in this horrible... I don't like the waiting zone between red flags. I mean, I understand why it happens. But again, they just said Zarco is still having medical attention in the gravel trap, and yet they're talking about the restart of the race. Let's just, let's give it a bit of time. Bring back... leave my dad alone. Oh, we're TNTing over another November break. Can I now have an ad to put on? I know we've had a couple ads in the stream, which is good to see actually, but... Another one now would do me nice and cosy, wouldn't it? Well, when was the last time we had 2 red flags in a MotoGP race? I'm trying to think top of my head, but I don't know. Was there one last year where there was 2 red flags on the Sunday? I'm actually not sure. I don't remember. I mean, it's happened before, of course, where there's been multiple red flags. Need a face cam so I can roast the hairline. Yeah, you'll get it as well next week, mate. Don't worry about that. No, I can't think of the last time there was 2 red flags on a Sunday race. I mean, both. Again, I'm still kind of move with the first one. Pav, bring your dad to the chat. Yeah, he would be banned. We know that for a fact. Pav's dad would be banned. I think you'd put one message in and get booted. I mean, positive is this is the longest stream, an hour 17. However, I'd like to see some racing on track. Probably there's not much to talk about now, is there? No, not you. No. Oh, here we go. Right, not you get banned. If Pav's dad joined the chat, Pav's dad would get banned. And I could still ban you. Okay. Yeah, see, Pav, I agree with that comment. Your dad would not have a chance in the Twitch chat. On Kick maybe, but not on the Twitch one. I'm not gonna ban him. He's made that up on his own. I don't know where he's got that one from. He's done the thing he does where he doesn't listen to the whole conversation. Can we have some racing, please? I mean, the race started an hour and 4 minutes ago. MotoGP is meant to be 40 minutes. Unite the kit. Oh, here we go. I saw those rallies yesterday, actually. It was funny how he did it on an FA Cup final day where the roads are busier. That was ironic. Anyway. So with the grid, is it the same grid slots as the race, as that restart then, just without Zarco and Pecco and Marini not racing then? If also, I've just realised. How long left? No idea. Still another 12 laps. I did just realise, sorry, that was another Pecco no points. And he fell off last weekend on the Sunday. And potentially the weekend before. So how many races now since Motogp? So what's that, last 12, 13 races? He finished, which I think is about 3. Possibly 4. Zarco to the medical centre for further checks. Well, we guess that one. I don't know if Marini will be eligible for the restart. I don't think he is. I think there's a rule where it has to be 3 laps. If you're involved in a crash where there's a red flag, you have to have done 3 laps to then go back into the race. I think. Again, don't quote me on that one. Yeah, Pecco's at his wrist, of course. No, we are expecting the 3rd restart. This is not a good promotion for this. There's been instances all weekend with this track where, although it has the facilities and it's the big runoff, the speed of these bikes now, the runoff isn't quite where it should be. No, Dad, we're not doing that in the Twitch chat. Thank you. We're not doing that. I did cry as well when I put it in the Stinging Nettles. Well, the grid for the restart is still going to be Acosta, Fernandez, Martin, front row. He doesn't have that picture. Listen, he doesn't have. I know the story, and I cried when I put it in the Stinging Nettles, but I know for a fact he doesn't have the picture. Oh, now everyone comes back when that picture's going in, isn't it? That's ironic. Look at you lot. Give the people what they want. Sod it, if you have a picture, put it in. What was I saying? Oh yeah, Pav, your question about the grid. It's still going to be a cost. It's the same grid, basically, just without Zarco, Marini and Bagnaia, because I don't think they can restart. Quick start procedure, I don't really know what that means. But I think there is a 3-lap rule. Hello, Flacco. Thank you, mate. Oh, Flacco, welcome. My, you know. The race was meant to finish about 40 minutes ago, but we're still here. Might as well join in. I need to turn those alerts down. It scares the life out of me every time. Please entertain the masses. Now look what you're doing, right? Now just Joe. Okay, fine, do it, because I can see you're. There's no way out of this now. I don't even know if he has the picture. If you do have the picture, send it to me before. Hodgson just made a good point where if you had fear of racing bikes, you wouldn't do this 3rd restart because of the way things are going. That is coming from a retired rider, which now he just openly said he looks back at it now and thinks differently. But active riders at the time do have a different mindset to people who are not active on the bikes. So if Bagnaia and Marini and Zarco are out, that does promote Morbidelli back to the 2nd row in 6th. No, sorry, it puts him onto the middle of the 2nd row, so it puts Mir onto the 2nd row in 6th. And of course the whole 3rd row changes, and it was Marini, Bagnaia, Agura. So that changes the 3rd and 4th rows. So that'll push Agura up to 9th, Bezzecchi 10th, Quartararo into 11th. Actually, at one higher with Zarco out. They haven't updated the grid slot yet. Cancel Catalunya, bring Brands Hatch to the table. Yeah, because if the run-on for Catalunya can't do it properly, Brands Hatch has no chance with these bikes. As much as I'd love to see them go around Brands Hatch. God, they just said when Martin's front wheel came down, the front wheel locked. Again, let's get rid of the ride height devices. That's what's causing that. The front wheel to lock on the way down because it's bringing the front wheel up in general. To start with, I don't think they like the tactic of the riders moving across from the start, going into turn one, which I think is fair. I think from the way the two races have gone, I think it's fair that riders shouldn't be able to do that in this straight. You stick to your line. You cover, yes, but you don't squeeze at this speed. Again, it's not a good promotion for this track, because as I said, we have had many crashes this weekend where, like the Martin one, for example, in turn 12 on Friday, the runoff wasn't sufficient as the way he went into the bike. That was the sign, really, of how the weekend has gone since then. But yeah, bring brands out to the table. That they should do the old F1 used to do the race of champions in the 70s, where every now and again it'd be a one-off race. Or do the old F1 used to do an old karting exhibition. They should do one. You bring them on a production base. Ducati did a Ducati day a couple of years ago, where they had like the likes of Marc, Bagnaia, Bulliger, Martin, all of them lot on a production bike going around Mazzano, and I think Marc actually took out Bulliger, which is something. But Scott, you're saying bring brands out, get Alton Park back on the table. Let's get Snetterton back here. Imagine the conditions that are falling off on these bikes at those tracks. Hodgson's complaining about the tyres. He wants Brady's here now because of how sticky they are. Which is kind of true. These Michelins aren't the greatest in the world. But now we do have a sprint race. Yesterday was 12 laps. Now we do have a 12-lap sprint race. Rennie Arnoux won the last race champions in 83 in the CTB. There's my dad, everyone. That's where I get my nerdiness from. You can see by that. And he didn't use Google for that either. He remembers it. No, we're coming back out the pits now, are we? What's your bets? How long is this race going to last? Are we going to get past turn 3? Is Acosta actually going to win the race, or is there something an instant going? The thing is, I won't blame the riders for being nervous now of how the last 45 minutes have gone. I hope we get a boring start. Yeah, innit? At this point, let's just get the 12 laps done. You know what I mean? Riders are coming out. The pit lane opens in 15 seconds, so we are having again the quick start procedure. Riders, I don't think they want to see riders come across from the start to cover, but I think that's exactly what we are going to see. Petro has just come on and slumped the back of his bike. He's pumped up and ready. He's already forgotten everything else that happened in this race. Pedro is the old school rider out of the runs racing today, which is why he's liked by quite a few, because he's got that mentality. He would have fit in the 80s and 90s easily. I like that little smack on the rear of the bike as well. Bez got one hell of a launch on the second restart. I want to see if he can do it again. Did Bez, or was it Martin? Because Martin got a hell of a launch. Martin's also lucky, by the way, because Hodgson pointed out, and I saw it as well, when I thought Acosta squeezed him to come off the throttle, he didn't. Martin lost the momentum because he had the front wheel in the air, and when he came back down, because he was moving to avoid Pedro at an angle, the front wheel kind of locked on the way back down, which is why he fell off doing a wheelie in America. So he was lucky in that sense. That actually he stayed on the bike this time, because if he went down there, that would have been again a disaster. But I guarantee you Acosta is going to do the same squeeze. It'll be exactly the same. The riders have to be sensible. There's still 20 of them. Well, take away maybe 3s. There's 17 of them. The riders have to be clever now. They have to be clever. They all need to know, or they all should know. Just get through the first few laps and get the sprint race done. Medium front, soft rears, apparently. Still want to know what happened to Acosta's engine. Because again, no one knows that one. to have a starting lap, go back to the grid for the quick start procedure. The quick start procedure then proceeds to be one warm-up lap. They wait for everyone to line up with the mechanic at the grid start. They'll do the warm-up lap, and then we'll get going again for a 12-lap sprint. Oh, this horrible camera angle again. I don't like this one. Again, it's the bird's eye view looking down onto the grid. I researched the onboard of Acosta. He's rear lifted upwards before Alex collided with him. I don't know what you mean by the rear lifted upwards. I think it cut out, no? Well, no, I tell you what there was. He hit the brakes when it cut out, which lifted the ride height device. Which is probably what the rear coming up was, because he would have had the ride height device locked in. So the bike would have been down. This probably would have came up when the fault happened. He then hit the brakes, which then put the bike back up. Would be my guess. I don't know another reason why that would come up. Now we have a warm-up lap. You nerd, yeah, I know. Now we have a warm-up lap. Now we're gonna have a 12-lap sprint. Jack, there was a word, Jack, in all the riders' ear, being like, let's just get through these corners, shall we? You know how to ride the bike. Let's remember how to do that. But again, was Zarco's crash caused by the aero of these bikes because he got sucked into the wash going under braking at turn 1, which is what we mentioned earlier. Possibly happened before. Could probably happen again with these bikes as well, the way the aero works. Which I'm glad next year the aero is coming down slightly to avoid that kind of washing happen. But if that is the case, then you're sucked into the wash, which is why you went so deep. You can't really avoid that. It's the equivalent of, in Formula 1 terms, the equivalent if you hit the brakes directly behind another driver and you're in that much dirty air, your brakes don't work. Same equivalent, but we're going again. We are going again. Have they updated the grid? Not really. Front row stay the same, while there's 5th, Mir up to 6th. Back goes back on. Well, I don't know the rule then for red flags. Is Marini back in? I think Marini's back in the back as well. Oh, I don't know the rule then for red flags, clearly. Absolutely no idea when you can restart and when you can't. Oh, the race has already started. Oh, this timing thing does my head in, I'll tell you that. Now I've got to try guess what them to start. This ain't going to work, is it? There you go, you can see there at the start, the dots are moving. Look at this, I've paused it, it's still going, does my head in. Acosta looked to lead coming into turn 1. This isn't actually that updated to what happens after turn 1, but let's see. I guarantee Acosta, if he gets to launch, Acosta will come to the right. Why'd that update as well? That's very annoying. Anyway, we are back on the grid. We are waiting for the gorgeous green flag at the back of the field to wave. They are waving. Once again, for a third time, we're waiting for the 5 lights to come on. 5 lights on, revs are full, 5 lights are off. Di Giannantonio stood up at the start on his bike. Acosta is leading again. He's come over to the middles. No one keep up with him. Martin might pop down the inside of Pedro Acosta. Doesn't look like he can though. Acosta again beautifully covered the lead from the start and leads into 1. Martin second, Fernandez third, Mir in 4th. Pecca Bagnai, who just tasted the dirt on his crash, is up to 5th into turn 2. So that's the thing with these riders, they have a different mentality. But we're coming round turn 3 as Acosta leading Martin, leading Fernandez, leading Mir, leading Bagnai. Quartararo up to 6th on his Yamaha. I don't know where he's got that start from as well. He's moved up the order. Pecca Bagnai might let's get 4th place from Mir. No, they're all being sensible now. That makes a difference, isn't it? Coming round turn for the long quarter, someone just shoved that Bezzecchi wide. Someone did shove Bezzecchi wide. I think it's Iagura shoving Bezzecchi wide. There is a yellow flag on the track. Remember, waiting to see what the yellow flag is for real life. Fernandez down the inside of turn 5 on Martin. That's going to be close. No, he's touched Martin, and Martin's down. Fernandez has taken Martin out. That one actually was not Martin's fault at all, but Fernandez in the gravel as well. Maybe that's a bit of an experience at the front from Raul Fernandez. That move was never on. That is all Fernandez's fault as well. That was not Martin's fault, so I can't blame him for that one. But Martin is now out. There was no room for Fernandez to do that, but welcome to turn 5 in MotoGP. Fernandez stays in the race, but Martin is out. There won't be, if there's a red flag for that, I'll be amazed. But that's retired. 0 points for both races for Jorge Martin. Pecca Bagnai is up the 3rd, and Mir, you'll say Mir for the win. Bagnai is in 2nd. That will also be a penalty for the next race, I imagine, for Fernandez. What's the point of penalising him now? He's 18th. No point giving him a long lap. That'll be a group penalty for the next race. But we end possibly the first lap. We've got Pedro Acosta leading Johan Mir, who's back up to 2nd. This set up for Pedro to win. Yes, I mean, if Beto is not going to have a better chance than the ones behind him now. Mir does follow him along the line into the last corner. Bagnai 3rd, Quartararo 4th, Di Giannantonio 5th, and Iagura up to 6th from where he started outside the top 10. Mir is going to slipstream Mir's going to slip him across the line to turn 1, but the gap's too far. He's really ridiculous to make a move from the brakes. So Pekka Bagnaia will eye up Mir for second. Martin has yet. Pav Martin is back on the bike, but I mean, he's down. Look at the track map. He's nowhere near. So he's just going to circulate it, probably retire as well. That's going to be 0 points for Martin from this weekend. I want to see a replay of that because from what I believe, there was absolutely no room for Raul Fernandez to even try attempt that move. So I do think that was rustiness maybe, but I do think maybe that could be the adrenaline from waiting to restart the race, and Fernandez didn't know how to deal with that properly. Oh, Aldegur has just stood Agur up into turn 4. Again, the mindset of these boys, they've had these red flags, but they don't stop racing. Bezzecchi's going to pick that position up as well from Agur into turn 4, into turn 5. Agur is now going down the inside of Bezzecchi. We've got the two Aprilis again, Saturday and Factory. This time they both survived as Agur stayed on the bike, didn't make any contact. Both these ones through. Maybe that's something for Martin and Fernandez to watch back and see how to do it. But Mir is on the back of Pedro Acosta, coming up to turn 8 now, up the hill to turn 9. Here's the replay. That move is never on with Fernandez. Never ever on. That was desperate for me, that. Yeah, that was a see, that's the thing, right? So that for people who doesn't know, if anyone see that, Massimo Rivola is the Aprilia like boss, and he goes into the Trackhouse team. You don't need to do that. Everyone with Davide Brivio of all people know what happened. Calm your ego down a little bit, okay? You don't need to go to the garage to do that. Everyone saw it. You do it behind the scenes, Mass. I don't like when team managers do that and get themselves involved. Go away. Yeah, Hodgson said it. Davide Brivio of all people did not need to be told that on a little look his direction. Brivio knows, okay, that was not needed. Back on the straight, there we go for lap 3 now. Mir is still in the slipstream of Pedro Acosta. Pedro Acosta's not pulled away. Joe Mir can make a move into turn 1 on the brakes. He's smart enough not to, though, to outbrake Pedro Acosta into turn 1 as they go through. Mir will stay in second. There's a little gap between Mir and Pekka Bagnaia in third. But Di Antonio is on the back now of Bagnaia, so he will get past. I imagine he'll get past Bagnaia. So if you look at the pace of this weekend, Quartararo is still hanging in fourth, but Fermin Aldeguer, bear in mind, Fermin Aldeguer's got one leg effectively. He broke his leg, what, 3-4 months ago, so he's still limping, barely got out of the hospitality box. He is riding the bike. He is chasing Quartararo for 5th place. Marini, who suffered again the red flag earlier, the second red flag, he's up to 10th place, or down to 10th place I should say, but he's still on the bike, which is impressive for him. Brad Binder, it says he's in the pits, but I imagine he's circulating. He's in 13th on here. Top breaks in the points as well. Big up the Yamaha for that. Digi in P4 of that injury is oh, I forgot about Digi's injury. That's true. He's got one hand at the minute, isn't he? This is what I mean. These boys are different on these bikes. But Acosta is not pulled away is what I thought he would, but then yesterday, now it's the 12th lap. Acosta will learn from yesterday. He said the reason he didn't win the sprint race because he pushed too hard in the beginning. It's the same race distance now. He'll be on the same tyres, so he knows now to take it easier in the first part of the race. Maybe even concede the lead to Mir. I don't think he'll want to do that and just control it. Acosta needs to learn how to control it. I think that's what he's trying to do. But you do have Acosta, Mir, Bagnaia and Di Antonio covered within, what is that, just over a second of each other. I can breathe again now. Morbidelli, remember Morbidelli started second the first race. He's now 14th, so his days unravelled and got worse and worse. At least he stayed on the bike. Mir is going to make a move on Pedro Acosta, I think, and try and take the lead. Now, if I'm Acosta, I would not want Mir respectfully down the inside of me with how he's been dropping the front the last 2 years. But we're going down the bone straight. We're going to hit 220 miles an hour, and Mir's going to pull out of the slipstream to make a move, I think, on Pedro Acosta. Underneath the crane we go. Johan Mir is going to go down the inside of Pedro Acosta. No, you're not going to outbrake Pedro Acosta. It's just a fact. You are not going to outbrake Acosta if he's got the pace, and Mir can't do it. Di Antonio is all over the back of Pekka Bagnaia as well as we go through the clip of turn 2, lead it into the right-hander of turn 3. Fermin Aldeguer has now got Fabio Quartararo as well. That's not a surprise to see the Gresini Ducati get the Yamaha, and next on that line will be Ayagura to get Fabio Quartararo. As we race into turn 4, Acosta still leading Mir. Di Antonio, I thought was going to make a move into Pekka Bagnaia into turn 4. I was waiting for a collision in turn 5, and I knew it would kind of happen. I didn't think it'd be too Aprilia doing it, but there's been no incident in turn 5 really in any of the races this weekend, so I was waiting for it, and it did come true. Mir's biding his time. I don't think he is. I think it's the opposite. I think Acosta's just trying to find a pace to control it. Mir might make a move, but I can see Acosta getting him back quite quickly afterwards. I do think Acosta's learning from what he did yesterday in the sprint race, and I reckon by lap 6 or 7, no further action taken between Martin and Fernandez. That's staggering, I think. If they've done that because it's a lap 1 incident, I think that's staggering. I think that move is... I think Fernandez has got lucky there. Di Antonio down the inside of Pekka into turn 10. There's the move down. That's a quick... Bear in mind, that's the corner where Di Antonio got volleyed by a wheel. And now he's overtaking a Pekka Bagnaia for the podium place. So it's funny how quick the world can change. Digi is the threat to Pedro. He would be. That's why I think Pedro now, when he sees in his pit board the Digi's third, Pedro now I think will put the throttle down even more, maybe try and pull the gap. I don't think Mir's going to be able to follow him. And if Mir does, fair play to Mir, but based on the pace this weekend, I'd be surprised if that happens. Acosta, I think, is just trying to manage it. But Di Giannantonio will be the threat to him to stop him from getting his first win. But when these two don't get on anyway, especially recently, Acosta and Di Giannantonio, of course it's going to be between those two. The script writes itself in racing, and if it's between Acosta and Di Giannantonio after the words between them last week, that's quite ironic, and that sums up motor racing itself. Mir could not make the move again into turn 1. This is why I think Acosta's putting the gap where he needs to. Maybe seen on the pit board that Digi is now third and time to pull the pin a little bit. Oh, but Bagnaia was well won in turn 4. He's now maybe struggling following him, the Di Giannantonio in front of him, but Acosta needs to pull that gap to Mir. If Di Giannantonio has already caught the back of Mir, the gap is already between Mir and Di Giannantonio 2/10 of a second, like Mir is a 10th.5 behind Acosta. Could this be a move into turn 5? I highly doubt it. It'd be ridiculous to try it. You're signing your P45 if you try that now after what happened earlier. I say that Agura down the inside of Quartararo into turn 5. He's going to push both wide, but Agura held that down brilliantly. I said he'd get past Quartararo. Agura continues to impress me. He has been very impressive. I don't know why he's been off the pace. This is Agura again coming through at the end as the tyres start to come down, especially now the fuel is low, and Agura is good when the fuel comes low and the bikes start to slide more, but he struggled this weekend with initial pace, but he's coming back through now. Obviously he's been granted a few positions with what's happened throughout the race, but up to 6th place is a good result for him again. That's another top 6 finish if he can keep it. Mir is still hanging on the back of Quartararo. Now, is it still Quartararo hanging on, or am I wrong, and is Mir actually biding his time? Mir looks very good. I did not have Johan Mir fighting for the lead in any of my predictions. I'll be honest, any of my predictions from any world, Mir was not fighting for the lead. But we're going to come onto the home straight, and Mir is the closest he has been to Pedro Acosta, just a 10th.5 as we go out the last corner to start lap 6. I've actually got the dots perfectly. I'll big myself up for that. It's still very difficult to do. We start lap 6. Mir's within the 10th. He's going to get a slipstream of Pedro Acosta. He's going to try and outbrake Pedro Acosta around the outside of turn 1. He can't do that. Acosta's going to squeeze him under braking. Yeah, Acosta knows you're not going to outbrake him into turn 1 like that. Acosta's drifting. Mir's going to run slightly. Mir's run well wide. He got sucked into Pedro Acosta. It's exactly what Acosta wanted. Gets sucked into his braking draft. Exactly what happened. Mir drifted wide. Acosta's pulled a little gap now, but that's opened Di Giannantonio to get onto the back of Johan Mir. What Acosta doesn't want is for Di Giannantonio to pass Mir, because then Acosta has to push it. Now I think he can kind of not cruise, but he can kind of not go into full gear with Mir behind him. If Di Giannantonio becomes into 2nd place, then he has to push it. So now's the time to pull the pin if he's going to. But that was smart from Acosta. Unlucky for Mir, but again, when you're in that draft under braking and you get sucked in, you're not going to avoid it. You have to stand the bike up. You could see Mir was going to run wide from the get-go under braking, but again, Mir's actually caught Acosta back up. I do have a sneaky suspicion this is Acosta just playing with them a little bit. Hodgson made a good point of looking at Agura is only 2 seconds off the lead with still 6 laps to go, so if he can pass Aldeguer quickly and get on Bagnaia, Agura could be one to watch for the podium watch later on. But again, Mir is back on the rear wheel of Pedro Acosta going into turn 10. Di Giannantonio also just 2/10 behind Mir, who's 2/10 behind Acosta. We're all waiting now for the run into the last corner. Got to navigate turns 12, turns 13 and turns 14 to then pin the throttle going to 6th gear, 220 miles an hour down that home straight. If this isn't tyre conservation and this is Pedro's actual pace, where's that gone then? Because he has none right now. Of course, more than others, but he has none compared to what we saw earlier on in the race and yesterday. Back onto the main straight to start lap 7. Mir is again in the stitch from Acosta. If he's going to outbrake Acosta, it needs to be down the inside. You won't get him around the outside, Mir. Mir's going to try now. He's going to go back into the stitch in behind. He's going to settle for 2nd again. As he's going to tell him there's no moves going on behind either. Bezzecchi's actually just got Fabio Quartararo, so I was wrong. And Marini, who again was involved in that 2nd red flag, is now the next one to hunt Fabio Quartararo, who cannot answer any of these bikes around him. Acosta again with the old school sweeping line into turn 3 to get that late apex. The gap between them is all close as anything. If the results stay like this, Acosta moves into 3rd in the standings. Bezzecchi retakes the lead in the standings because obviously Martin is currently 19th, scoring 0 points. Was that Aldeguer down the inside of back in the right? It was. Aldeguer gets Pecco Bagnaia down the inside of turn 4. So this is coming good for Aldeguer as well. But if it stays like this and Acosta wins, he will be just 31 points off the top of the standings with Bezzecchi down in 7th. But will Bezzecchi can he catch Agura as the next one? I bet he won't catch Agura, no. So that'll be 31 points behind him, 3rd, just ahead of Di Giannantonio as well, who just passed him in the standings last week as well. But now we're going to turn 9 again. Mir, what's the gap now? Mir is just still within 2/10 of a second to Acosta, so that gap is not moving how Acosta would like it. If Acosta is saving his tyres, he's going to want to pull the pin soon. Mir is late on the brakes there. His rear is sliding. Look how late they all are on the brakes. None of the bikes are standing still going on the brake, and it's incredible to watch from this angle. And you can see all three of them. We got Acosta, Mir, and Di Giannantonio. Look how all three of them are doing different lines. Acosta's the widest to get the latest apex. Mir's in the middle, and Di Giannantonio actually, which probably shows he's got the most grip, is doing the tightest line in all the long corners. That's a joy of bike racing. You can see the different lines the riders are taking as we go again into turn 14, the last corner. Mir's just wide of that apex. Acosta's got it perfect. Going to the main straight, pin the throttle. We're going fourth gear now. We're once again going to hit 215, at least 220 miles an hour. Mir's closer. Mir's a lot closer to Pedro this time. He's going to have to go down the inside of Pedro. Acosta's going to try it. Acosta again is going to outbrake him on the outside. Acosta's rear is sliding. When he make the apex, of course he does, he's Pedro Acosta. And now Ayagura's got Pecco Bagnaia. So as predicted, Bagnaia is now falling back down the order after a strong start. But the camera's back on the top three now, who are just touching wheels of each other. Again, all three lines. Mir's actually in the dirty end, and this could be a move into turn 4. One of them has to make a move into turn 4. If it's not Mir on Acosta, who's gone defensive into turn 4, that makes me think Acosta's not saving his tyres. But Acosta is wide. Acosta has to go wide in turn 4. He's on the brakes so late in turn 4. He is wide. They're all on each other. One of them has to make a move soon. Who's going to be? Acosta or Mir on Acosta, or Di Giannantonio or Mir? This makes me think Acosta is not tyre saving. If he's going defensive in every corner, he's again defensive in turn 5. This makes me think that Acosta just doesn't have the pace. If I was a betting man, which sometimes I am, but I'm not good at it, I'd put money on Di Giannantonio. He looks the most comfortable. He's waiting, I think, for Mir to try and move on Acosta, which goes wrong. We had a little glimpse of that into turn 1, where Mir went wide because he got sucked in. I think Digi's waiting for that again to happen to take advantage of Mir, but this shows me Acosta is struggling with the pace of his KTM. Digi's going to make a move to turn 10. Digi has to go down the inside of Mir. That's a great move. Again, the corner got volleyed by a front wheel earlier on. That's a great move from Digi in the inside of turn 10 on Mir. Now he's got Hunt Pedro. Now Pedro, I think, is in deep, deep trouble for this first race win. As Di Giannantonio, I think, will not hesitate to get past him. He's clearly got more pace than the KTM rider right now. But Mir down to third, Di Giannantonio in second. How long will it be before Di Giannantonio tries? Remember, Rossi is there this weekend. The boss of that team is there. Rumour is also, though, Di Giannantonio has signed the deal to replace effectively Acosta on that KTM next year. Going on to the main straight, I imagine Di Giannantonio is going to try and make the move on Acosta in turn 1. This could be close on the break, and they're going to have to stand. Whoever's going to lead out of turn 1 has to stand the other one up. Di Giannantonio down the inside now. Pedro Acosta under braking. Oh, that's close. You're not going to outbrake. If Acosta's not wide for that, I'd be amazed. I'm watching Acosta. Of course, he's not wide. I don't know how he brakes that late with the bike that sideways, but he keeps the lever ahead of Di Giannantonio and Mir going to turn 3 now. Di Giannantonio is biding his time now. You're not going to get Acosta into turn 1 unless you're ahead of him already down the straight. If you're not ahead of him going into the braking zone, you're not going to outbrake him. But this might be a move to turn 4. Digi has a run on him coming out of turn 3 into turn 4. He's too far away. Acosta, sure, he's got to go and ride there like he did last lap. He is. Acosta is wide there. They both are wide, but Acosta is much more wide. Acosta doesn't have the grip. This is not tyre saving. Acosta does not have the grip or the confidence in those tyres as he did previously to get his first race win into turn 5 now. Acosta's wide again for turn 5. He'll go for a late apex, but Di Giannantonio is back on him. I said a lap ago, put Di Giannantonio's money on to win this race, and he's on Pedro Acosta, and my prediction is looking good right now. We come out of turn 7, out of turn 8, up the hill to turn 9. Digi made moves, was it on Pecco Bagnaia and on Mir into turn 10, so maybe he's eyeing up Pedro Acosta for the same move into the same corner. He might be a bit too far away this one. If he can get the run onto the straight, he's too far away to make a move now though, so maybe he's thinking turn 1 again. He won't do it at turn 11, 12, 13 or 14, so it's either going to be turn 10 or turn 1 for Digi, I would suspect. Let me breathe. The thing is, Acosta's pace is not good because Aldeguer is catching. Aldeguer in 4th is now just 4 tenths behind Mir, who's on the back still of Di Giannantonio. So this is just slow pace from Acosta. If this is on purpose to bunch him up, this is brave, and I don't see it working. So it has to be putting on pace because Agura is also coming. Agura and Aldeguer are joining. Aldeguer just 4 tenths behind Mir. Agura 4 tenths behind Aldeguer. We come back into the main straight to just 3 laps to go now. Di Giannantonio, Acosta goes straight to the inside of the circuit to defend. Di Giannantonio is a lot closer. He's got to get the move done way before the braking. You're not going to outbrake. You're not going to outbrake Acosta. Acosta again is the latest breaker to turn 1, and again makes the apex. We've gone wide, but Bezzecchi and Bagnaia now going at it. Bezzecchi's going to get Quattrara's close to Marini in the background as well to turn 1, but go back to the camera, we see Acosta and Di Giannantonio. I think Di Giannantonio went a little bit wide into turn 1, but he's going to have the run out of turn 3 into turn 4 now. He's in the slipstream of Pedro Acosta. Got the perfect run into turn 4. Acosta doesn't like turn 4. He's run wide the last 2 laps. And again, he's going to be wide there, Acosta, with the way he's braking, but Digi's got more grip. Digi's taking a much tighter line. Yeah, look, much more grip, Di Giannantonio. The move might be into turn 5. This is going to be a lunge if it's a turn 5 move. And it's not. Pedro's gone defensive. That's good defending from Pedro Acosta. Bezzecchi again is on the back of Bagnaia, but frankly, we don't care about that at the minute. The fight for 6 and 7. Put the camera on the leaders. Thank you. The thing is, Neil Horton just said it, Acosta is that good on the brakes. He just has to park the bike perfectly in corners like turn 1 and turn 10, and Di Giannantonio will not have a chance. Turn 1, you need to be ahead of Acosta. You can't outbrake him. He's got the run out of turn 9. This will be the move into turn 10. He's got the run out of turn 9. This Acosta will not be able to defend this. He's gone to the outside. Di Giannantonio down the inside turn 10. This is where I said he's done a move on me and Bagnaia. He's going to stand Pedro Acosta up. And there's the move by Digi. Acosta will come back the inside of turn 11. That's close racing. In the inside turn 11, turns to the inside for Digi at turn 12. The side by side. Acosta has to give that position up. You can't hold it around. Acosta is struggling with the pace. This will be... Of course, it'll be spitting blood in that helmet. That is Di Giannantonio again's got the better of him. But now watch for turn 1. If Acosta can get the run out of the last corner with 2 laps to go, watch for what he can do at turn 1 on the brakes. He will lunge Di Giannantonio. We all know it. But Di Giannantonio has made a good gap already in the turns 13 and 14. Acosta's too far away. Acosta doesn't have the grip. This is Di Giannantonio's race. Acosta does not have the grip on that KTM. And now he's got to look for Johan Mir, who's got a little double slipstream. He's going to go on the inside of Pedro Acosta now. You can't outbrake him. We know that. This is Di Giannantonio's now race to lose. I cannot see Acosta replying. The gap's already 0.2 of a second. Going into turn 2, that's going to increase by the time we get around to turn 4 as well. Just watch the gap increase now. 3 points. There you go. He's gained 0.2 in those 3 corners alone. Acosta doesn't respond. Acosta doesn't have the grip in these tyres. It's strange what's happened to him now. I expected different. I expected the opposite, especially after yesterday. But Di Giannantonio is taking full advantage of what's happened. Bearing in mind, Di Giannantonio got volleyed by a tyre in the first red flag incident and was out of the race holding his hand. He's back on the bike with probably a broken or a fracture, whatever he's done to that hand after the wheel hit it, because there's going to be damage there. And he's come back, and look what he's done. This is why they're different. You might not be a fan of Di Giannantonio, but you have to give him credit for what he's able to do. Put the crash to the back of his mind and perform to this standard. But Pedro Acosta is now going to get bullied, I think, by me and the likes behind him. He doesn't have the pace. Digi will check out. He's already pulled 6 tenths on it. But Pedro Acosta just will not get that first win on that KTM. He's not going to have a better chance than this one, and yet he just doesn't have the pace. Is it something with the engine? Because he had the pace earlier on until his engine went pop down this straight, causing the crash for Alex Marquez's big red flag crash. But maybe something going on that KTM that we don't know. But he's definitely not as confident on the bike as he was before. Maybe you knew that. Maybe that's why he punched the bike going on before the restart where he hit the back of it. But he's now got we call it in F1 the Trudy train. He's now got an Acosta train coming onto this main straight in 2 corners time. Digi Antonio's checked out. This is Digi's race now. He's already pulled he will pull a second coming into over the line, I think, or we're near enough, 1 second. Mir is again on the rear tyre of Acosta going down, but he needs to get the move done before the brakes. He can't outbrake Pedro Acosta. Down the main straight they go. Digi Antonio starts the last lap in the lead. The gap is 1 second. Mir's in the slipstream of Pedro Acosta. He's going to go down the inside. He's on the grass almost. You're not going to outbrake. He's going to try and outbrake Pedro Acosta. Mir is on the limit of the brakes in that Honda. Can he keep the bike up? Yes, yeah, that's perfect from Mir. Absolutely perfect from Mir. I feel like Acosta will got solid there because Aldeguer won't hesitate. They've got to remember, Aldeguer and Acosta do not get on. They hate each other. Acosta's wide in turn 3. He's got to pick the bike up. Aldeguer gets it. Acosta's got no grip on that KTM. Nothing on that KTM. Perfect from Mir on the brakes. Aldeguer might get Mir for second as well. He looks to have a lot more confidence. Acosta's, you can see by the way he's under brake. He's drifted. Agura's going to get him next. Acosta has no pace on that KTM. The tyres are not on his side. Watch him blame a dud tyre. It's happened before. It can happen again. Into turn 5, Acosta's not going to get on the podium. What we thought was his first race win, he's not going to be on the podium. Can Aldeguer now get Mir? Mir's going to be on the podium. They stay on the thing for Honda. That's a hell of a result for them considering what's been happening there. And the fallout between them. Agura's going to be eyeing up Acosta. Acosta can finish 5th here, but the cameras are on. Aldeguer getting Johan Mir as we go up to turn 9 now. Digi Antonio's checked out for 1 second. This is amazing, Digi Antonio. Just like Marquez fell off in her F1. Digi Antonio didn't just fall off. He got volleyed by a bike, by a tyre probably in the air, and he's about to win the Spanish Grand Prix. Mir is covered, looks like Aldeguer into turn 10. For second place. Acosta is just ahead of Agura into turn 5. But watch that coming into the last corner. He's got no response. Acosta is going to be spitting blood with what's happened in this restart. With how he had it under control effectively with Marquez in the first restart to not having the grip of the restart on lower fuel with new tyres. He'll be spitting blood, but this is going to be Digi Antonio coming around the last corner. Go in the last corner of Acosta, and he's taken Acosta out. Oh, that's a penalty. That's a fast crash as well. That's a penalty coming out Agura's way. That was desperate. That was desperate from Agura. But that Acosta, if he wasn't spitting blood before, he's going to be spitting blood now as he is out of the race at the last corner of the last lap. Agura gets 4th. Digi Antonio does win. Acosta is finally on his feet, but that was a fast one. Mir finishes in second, hell of a result for Honda, and Aldeguer in third, Agura 4th, but Agura will get penalised for that, absolutely will get penalised. That move was far too late, and that sort of quarter where moves do not happen. He's watched Rossi and Onan on Lorenzo and thought he could do the same thing, but that move was never on at all. He's close to do it, but with these bikes, no chance, absolutely no chance that move was on, and that's a fast crash. Thankfully, there's a lot of run up there, a lot of run off in that corner, thankfully for Pedro Acosta, because that's a fast one. However, he took the handlebars straight from Pedro Acosta. That's Agura has impressed me a lot, but that will get the book thrown at him for that move. That move won't work. Digi Antonio is going to be an immense amount of pain after what he's had to go through after getting volleyed by the bike. He has won in front of his boss, Valentino Rossi. Hell of a result for Mir coming second, by the way, but that was... MotoGP is the most up and down sport on the planet, so is motor racing, and that does also show it. The camera is on the KTM bosses who are not happy. You have to question. They had the momentum throughout the race. I've just volleyed the mic. They had momentum throughout the race, the first restart. He led away from the second restart, but that one, he had no pace on those tyres. And that's the KTM problem. They can never estimate or can never judge when they're going to be fast and when they're not going to be fast. So I think Acosta will be more annoyed about finishing. If let's say he wasn't taken out, he was already fuming that he couldn't hold the lead anyway. He didn't care about second or third. He couldn't hold the lead when he needed to for those 12 laps. He'll be more annoyed about that fact that he couldn't keep the fight for the win than he was getting taken out by Agura. Obviously, he's going to blame Agura and not going to be happy with it. But I guarantee you, he's actually not going to hold that much against Agura because he'll say fourth place means nothing to him. He only wants to win, but he cannot do that on that KTM, which is maybe why he signed for Ducati. After that, I also have no idea what the standings is. Bezzecchi ended up in 6th behind Pecco Bagnaia, so he didn't get him in the end, and actually got Fabio Quartararo, and so Quartararo dropped down to 7th, or was he ahead of him? No, he dropped down to 7th. And Toprak got a point. Well done to all those retirements, and Yamaha and Toprak get 1 point. Anyone know the championship standings? Because I have absolutely no idea after that. Obviously, Bezzecchi still leads, with Martin scoring nothing. I think taken up by Fernandez. The satellite Aprilia taking up the factory Aprilia is not a good look. Davide Brivio, as I said, didn't need to be told that. But Bezzecchi will, of course, lead the standings. It was 1 point before, so whatever the point now for Bezzecchi gets there. Coming into the weekend, that is. I don't even know the standings from yesterday. Di Antonio will, of course, be up to 3rd after he beats Pedro Acosta. I think Acosta will stay 4th in the standings. Maybe drop down by Ayogura now. Ayogura may have jumped him, actually, saying about that, because he finishes 4th and Acosta ends up scoring 0 points. But what a disaster for Acosta. Absolute disaster for him, that last 12 laps of that race. He's never going to win on that KTM. Never. It was staggering. See, for most of it, I'll be honest, for most of it I did think, oh, Agura 3 seconds penalty, insufficient time to complete long lap. So they gave Agura a long lap penalty. Oh, I think that's a lie, I can't lie. They gave Agura a long lap penalty, and because he couldn't do that because it was the last lap, the last corner of the last lap, that would be a 3 second penalty. So I believe Agura is going to come down in maybe 8th or 9th. Agura might be at the end, which promotes Bagnaia to 4th, Bezzecchi to 5th, which again gives Bezzecchi points in the championship. We're just waiting for the timing to update, if it will update here. But I mean, the penalty was coming to Agura's way all day long. But moves like that, when you take the handlebars away from the one you're racing with, is always a penalty all day long. Nearly 2 hours just to do one MotoGP race. Was meant to be 24 laps. That's quite something. Tyre pressure for rides under investigation: 7, 25, 36, 42, 43, and Pecco. I mean, that's Pecco's only involved. All the others are at the back. I mean, what's the point of doing Fernandez and Toprak? They're at the back anyway. And Rins was another one. What's the point of doing that? Anyway, that's where I'm going to end the stream. I'll put a thing out on the Apex to Apex podcast if I am going to do a live, or start doing live podcast episodes on Twitch. Acosta went from Shark to Minnow real quick. How long have you thought about that one for? It's quite clever. But I'm amazed by the fall off of Acosta there in the last 12 laps. I thought he'd be the favourite to do. But the KTM, again, that's the problem with the KTM. You don't know when they're going to be quick. And the problem is, when they are quick, they don't know why they're quick. Yeah, I thought it would. But yeah, so I'm going to consider doing the 1 weekly episode on Spotify, make it a longer one on like the midweek building up to the weekend, and then perhaps change the early one in the week on, instead of being on Spotify, do like a live one on Twitch on here to build up the interaction here and put that straight onto the YouTube channel, so that I'll figure out what to do in the next few days. It will be out on the Apex to Apex podcast Instagram, and again, follow and subscribe to the Twitch account for the live commentary on the weekends for MotoGP. And the next one is Formula 1. We are back with the Formula 1 cars in Canada, one of my favourite tracks, and I imagine the conversation in the chat will be about batteries, which I'm not excited for. Anyway, thank you for listening to that chaotic round of MotoGP. It's why we love MotoGP and also fear it at the same time. Di Antonio went from being volleyed by a front tyre to getting his mindset back and somehow winning the race. As Pam says, Chapapi out, I'll also leave you there. I will see you next week. Thank you.